Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grid Live Wrap Up. What a race! Of course, we're going to be talking about Formula One. We encourage everyone to share their questions and opinions with us. We'll be happy to share them on the air. Of course, we remind everyone keep it civil because we know there's a protest going on. There's all sorts of hot temperatures, but of course, that's motorsports, especially when the championship comes down to the last lap of the season. We want to thank our patrons, Colin, Mark, Michelle, and Robin, for keeping us on the air. Best in the Grid Network, link in the video description below. With me today, Adam Lemeries, Ben Schneider, Joshua Birch, who was calling the race on his channel all day, link in the video description, as well as a link to Ben's channel as well. And Kobe, what a way to finish the season.
Yeah, definitely quite a way to finish the season after 22 races, and a historic season is finally in the books. I'm actually a little sad that I'm actually very sad that it ended. Such a phenomenal season, and it came down to the very last lap to crown a Formula One world champion. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen came in tied, one of the most intense championship battles and highly anticipated season finales in Formula One history, decided by a one-lap shootout. For the championship, Hamilton was on the older tires, Verstappen on fresh tires. Hard but clean racing between the two at the end. Max passed Lewis, and the Mercedes tried fighting back and saw the championship slip away at the very last moment to Red Bull. In the end, Max Verstappen won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and became the 2021 FIA Formula One world champion. And let's get right into it, guys. What are your overall thoughts on Max Verstappen's last lap pass on Lewis Hamilton to win the world championship and his entire championship winning season?
What a season. I mean, it's Max Verstappen had the fresher tires, and yeah, I agree. Yeah, Josh, I agree with you, my friend. It's been a crazy F1 season, and Max Verstappen had newer tires, and he got around Lewis Hamilton quite easily, and he took off to win the championship as well as the race. I know we're going to talk about this in a little while, but to me, Lewis Hamilton, under the first virtual safety car, should have pitted and put on fresh tires, and it would have given him the advantage and probably won in the championship. But Max Verstappen, what can you say? He had an absolute fantastic season. For those of you who don't know, his father, Jos Verstappen, also competed in F1 a long time ago. So, Max Verstappen, congratulations on winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the 2021 FIA Formula One World Championship. You earned it, fair and square.
Yeah, well, if Lewis had pitted, I think Max probably would have just stayed out. I think he was a little, it was one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. Like I said before we got on the air here, I've kind of been looking through the script because I don't want to answer a future question and trying to answer another question because it's so fresh in my mind and so also raw. I'm still trying to take it all in, and I tweeted that I really don't have any words yet, but I'm on. Right now, I've got to try to come up with words to describe what we just saw. I mean, it's been absolutely an unbelievable year, unbelievable season. I'm with Amber there. I have to say I do feel for Mercedes and Lewis getting caught out by the safety car. Ironically, it was the Williams who have a close relationship with Mercedes, utilize their engines. Their driver George Russell, of course, is going to replace Valtteri Bottas next year, and it's one of their cars that influences the outcome of the race inadvertently, albeit. But yeah, Adam, I'm completely with you. It's been an unbelievable season, and we said yesterday whoever wins it is going to be deserving. I know we've got a lot to talk about in terms of how it played out, but looking past all of that, Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing, they've done something that nobody else has been able to do since the last regulation change, and of course we have new ones coming in next year. But they took the fight to Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes and got the job done over the course of a full season and won the championship. So absolutely congratulations to them.
First of all, sleepless night for myself personally. I ended up getting to sleep around about 2:30 in the morning. And even then, Formula One seeped into my dreams as well. I kept having visions of contact between Hamilton and Verstappen, the Sky Sports team marking up who's the champion on a betting board. It was a very weird dream as well, but that's exactly how of a weird weekend it's been, and such a weird season as well. If you're an F1 fan, I'm sure you'll sympathize. I'm sure you had it yourself as well. Everybody came in today's race shaking and nerves. I was standing in the commentary box calling the start of that race, and I was standing here because Dad was here, Megan's over there, and I was going like this. My legs were shaking like mad. I was jumping up and down. I was almost. It was almost like Christmas Day. It's what I say. It's Christmas Day for F1 fans. What a fantastic race. I won't get into answering all the questions at once, but what's the thought on Max Verstappen's last lap pass to win Lewis Hamilton? I don't think it should have been that simple. I thought they'd put out a red flag like they did in Baku and restart the race. Michael Masi said after Baku, that's what I'm going to do in future. They had 6 laps to go here and they didn't red flag it. They let it go to the last. And then it gave us a complete showdown. And Max, everyone will say, oh, Lewis didn't have the tyres. Yes, they were 45 laps old, but he had enough tyre left to fight Max back at turn 9. So it was a complete shootout for the last lap. Max had the fresher tyres. It just definitely helped him, but didn't win it for him. I think that last lap maneuver is one of the greatest last laps of a racing season I've ever seen. Remember what I said yesterday, Ben, as well, about if it doesn't end up on the last lap with an overtake like that, then I want my money back because cars lied to me. Keep your money, Pixar. That was the last lap to end this Hollywood year. Master Bots here says, the race was fun, but I didn't like the decision taken by the FIA. I completely agree with you. It should have been a red flag with a 3-lap restart like in Baku. Hamilton and Verstappen would have had fresh tyres. It would have been fair. But honestly, keep your money because that is a Hollywood blockbuster in the making. What a fairy tale this year has been. Whoever wrote the script, thank you. Can we have more, please, sir?
I'm afraid we might have more, but that might be with the stewards. So I'm hopeful this is the end of it, actually. But I have to say, Max Verstappen, he and Red Bull, they outraced Mercedes today to get that championship. And even if, we had the red flag, yes, they would both been on fresh tires because under the red flags, both teams, all the teams can change their tires, change setups. We would have 3 to 4 laps, and I think we'll be talking about an epic finish. But of course, the way it finished, it's going to be, I think, a lot of people talking about it, questioning was it the right call, the wrong call, which I think is really unfortunate. Because at the end, yes, it did came down to a 1-lap shootout, but we had 21 races to determine this championship. Came down to one race, 1 lap, a shootout. My goodness. I've been watching F1. The first full season I could really remember was 1994, but I could remember bits and pieces of 92. Barely remember 1990. This season delivered on the hype. The championship finale delivered on the hype, in my opinion, as well. When you look at some of the other series, this year out of grid rank, I believe 5 series had championship deciders in the last race. And I think 2021 F1 had the best championship deciding race.
Yeah, some we've already been talking about the big controversy at the end, the handling of the late race safety car. Mercedes wasn't happy at all. Race director Michael Masi, who made the last minute decision to wave around the lap cars after he was initially, it seemed like he was going to keep them in place between Hamilton and Verstappen. And Toto Wolff complained to Masi about the call, and Masi responded, I quote, "Toto, it's called a motor race. We went car racing," and it fittingly came down to the 2 drivers have been fighting all year long and only a few corners to go. And Joe, you alluded to the protest filed for Mercedes. Actually filed 2 protests post-race, one for an alleged breach by Verstappen while under safety car, and another one against the classification established at the end of the competition. In other words, safety car rules not been followed per rule book. Did Formula One drop the ball at the end of the race with all of the confusion?
Yes, and they've dropped the ball all season, to be honest. And let me just be very, very clear here. Michael Masi, we can criticize him all we want to and criticize the FIA. I don't envy that position at all. It's a very difficult job and a very high-stress job. But it's also a very important job. It's an important job to do well, to do right, to do fairly. And he's come up well short of that multiple times this season. Let me just say this much here. And I know Josh has all sorts of notes and probably has a rule book right in front of him. To be honest, he's much more well prepared than I am. But for me, from a fan's objective, purist point of view, my problem isn't that they let the lap cars overtake the safety car at the end. The problem is that they let the lap cars overtake the safety car at the end after initially saying they would not be allowed to overtake the safety car. They let them overtake the safety car, and they only let the cars that were between Hamilton and Verstappen overtake the safety car. So it seemed to me, if you were looking at it from an outsider's perspective, you might think to yourself, they did everything they could to set up the most dramatic finish and conclusion possible, only restarting the race with one lap to go as well, to try to get the most dramatic finish possible here. I see we've got a comment from Josh as well. I guess that's why there was no red flag. I think that maybe would have been a little more fair to give more than just one lap there. Although I don't know, but it would have made much of a difference with Verstappen being on those new tires. There's a lot to take in here, but I think we need. I remember Martin Brundle saying on the post-race show that Michael Masi needs, at the very least, some assistance, somebody alongside him, because it appears to be that this is too much pressure for just one man at this moment. And I'll say this much: I'm not saying that they rigged the race or scripted it to allow Red Bull or Verstappen to win or anything like that, but I don't want to see another person on Twitter with just a handful of followers ever say again that the FIA favor Mercedes or the FIA treat Lewis Hamilton differently. I think Mercedes have absolutely every right to be furious, and certainly even lodge a protest as well and ask for clarification and answers as to what the rules exactly are and why what happened in the way it did. I feel like you either have to let the cars overtake the safety car or not let them overtake the safety car, depending on how the rules are interpreted. They flip-flopped, and that is the issue to me. And it's why I hope that this championship is not still to be determined in a courtroom by a bunch of people in suits making arbitrary decisions, because if you ask me, two wrongs don't make a right. It was not very well handled today. That doesn't mean we go back and reverse it, because ultimately what happened, and I don't think you can rewrite history like that.
Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then I'll begin. Article 12.1 in the FIA race director's notes issued to the teams, right at the bottom. It should be noted that the aim of using the F1 marshalling system is to ensure consistency application of the rules, and additional instructions may also be given by race control when necessary. Now that, to me, indicates that Michael Masi has too much power over what can and cannot be decided around the system with the marshalling system of giving lapped cars and overtaking, because that all lap cars has got its own section in every single one. Michael says, Michael Masi is no Charlie Whiting, but even though I know he wouldn't rig the race, I think he has a long way to go before to be a better race director. It's not an easy position, though. That's what I say. You're completely right. It's not an easy position at all. And I think he's got quite a lot of things right. But if you stack up what he's got right, he's got a million more things wrong. Turkey last year, he restarted qualifying in abysmal conditions on a track surface that shouldn't have been allowed in Formula One. It was raining. The surface was slippery as well. And we had one car going in the gravel of the Latifi. And he still had a JCB truck on the track. We all remember what happened to Jules Bianchi. We all remember what nearly happened to Scott Speed at the Nürburgring. That, for me, was like a big red flag to me in the mind that, oh, maybe he's not good enough for this job. This season, we have seen more and more inconsistency from the stewards, and it all leads back to Michael Masi. Every single one of them. Bartering with the teams on the radio last time out in Saudi Arabia as well. That's not needed. He's taken more of a referee that goes for the ball to have his own game. It's ridiculous. And after this as well, my understanding is, from what I've been told, is that the Mercedes have taken a lawyer in to the stewards with them, because they are going directly for the FIA, not specifically at Max. So this could be a long result that I would honestly say, don't expect to see Michael Masi as race director at the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2022. To get on with you to say, did F1 drop the ball at the end of the race with all the confusion? Yes, absolutely they did. They've massively dropped the ball. I think Michael Masi was a little bit pressured maybe to end the race with a one-lap showdown. He did it. He left a foul taste in everybody's mouth a bit that happened. But I think it was a great finale in total, and it's been a great season. But the FIA consistency has been one of the big sticking points this year, and they need to sort that out quickly. We've got all the new FIA candidates coming up for the presidency. That's announced next week as well. So there's a segment on the Grid Tonight show as well on Wednesday. You can watch on with that as well. But honestly, I don't think Michael Masi will have a future in Formula One after this. He's too dangerous to be a race director. And I don't use that word lightly, but if he continues, somebody's going to get hurt. And I don't say that lightly. He is one of the most reckless, most bizarre, most unusual race director I've seen ever across the whole series.
This race, I mean, it is just something else where, for me, the confusion definitely was a huge drop in the ball. This isn't Michael Masi's first time calling a race or first year. He's been doing this for a while. That confusion, I think, if it was more straightforward, just, okay, we're allowing all the lap cars the lap before to get around, we knew what we were setting up for. Definitely want to get some of the comments as well, too. Steve saying, infringement at turn 1 when passed by Max, no penalty or reversal. And then I see him and looks like Amber have been chatting up. It looks like they're talking about first lap turn 7 actually, where Lewis went wide. But definitely we encourage everyone to chat room to keep commenting. But one of the big things with this race, we knew it was going to be intense. And they were talking about turn 7 where Max made the lunge on the inside, didn't leave room for Lewis, go wide. I just knew it was like, okay, the rest of the race, if those two are racing against each other for the win, it's not going to be an easy path for whoever. Then we get this yellow flag for Latifi. I gotta be honest. Yes, there was the confusion on all this, and now there's 2 protests about Max Verstappen with the safety car getting side by side and up towards the front. But at the end of the day, Ted Kravitz said everything was followed. Yes, there's a mess when it comes to how many lap cars did not get around. Only 5 did. But at the end of the day, if we had the race end under yellow, we'd be talking about should there be an overtime, which I think there's quite a lot of people that don't want overtime. If they had done the red flag, we'll be talking about should they be using the red flag to just ensure an exciting finish. We'll be talking about that. At the end, Michael Masi, in a no-win situation, unfortunately, with the way he's handled this season, I feel this is just the next level to make it where we're seeing more people and a trend of Masi out trending on Twitter. So it's something else.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, there was a comment on the screen by a person that I know from Facebook. His name is Michael Tiller. He's also an F1 fan who lives outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And it's called. I told him about this, that we were doing this first race show on Facebook Messenger. So Michael, welcome in. We thank you for watching. And all I gotta say is Michael Masi has, I know it's not easy being a race director, but Michael Masi, I think maybe next year we may need a co-race director to be alongside Michael Masi to make sure everything is right, because all I gotta say is this championship, after everything what we saw last weekend and now what we saw today, if you're not an F1 fan after this year, there's something wrong with you, because I remember I've been watching F1 for a long time, and this go down as one of the greatest F1 seasons that I can remember for a long time. So many memories across the year, and I know we'll get to them later on in the show.
Oh, sorry about that. Was muted for a second, but we do have a question in the chat room from a fan. I'll read it and I'll hand it over to our colleague Joshua Birch. And this person asks, could they have allowed lap cars to pass immediately when yellow flags were waved it was known that a car had to be removed? So, Josh, the floor is yours.
I presume that means safety car. I'll go with that as well. Yeah, they could have. The problem is when the full safety car comes out, the safety car has to pick up the race leader and then back the pack up together. Now that takes about a lap and a half. The entire field, when the safety car came out, was fairly spread out. As you saw, the driver the driver tracker wasn't actually working at the time. Up in the comms box, we lost the driver tracker and all of our timing monitors. We were relying on the TV pictures and the timing tower because I understand a power failure happened at FOM in Biggin Hill. And it kicked off all the timing screens. So we didn't have that. But when the safety car came out, it took about a lap to back them up. It came up with 5 to go. That means as well, we got a message on race control saying that there will be no lapped cars allowed to overtake. So that's when they're all back together. Then on lap 57 of the race, it said these cars can overtake, and it missed out the crucial bottom 3. It removed the cars in between Verstappen and Hamilton for a last lap showdown. Now, if that's not the FIA staging things, I don't know. That's why there's a protest happening, because Mercedes has said, you didn't let the entire field go through. You've broken the safety car procedure. You've allowed Verstappen to get up close to us, but you've kept other drivers behind that could have got ahead of Verstappen. So the Mercedes are very aggrieved on that. They've got a good point. They won't win because the FIA very rarely gives a penalty to itself, but that is the gist of it. So that's why Michael Masi is in so much trouble away from this as well. And he'll probably have to go through a board. Now, when the yellow flag came out and we saw the accident, my first thought was, we've got 5 to go. They'll probably safety car it and then they'll red flag it like they did in Baku. As we heard from Josh, they didn't red flag it because Michael Masi said to Martin Brundle before the race he wouldn't stop the race, but that goes against what he's put in the rules after what happened in Baku, and what he said after Baku is that when it's 5 to go, we'll stop it, so we've got a chance of a clean restart. I don't understand why the lapped cars were told they couldn't pass, and then they could. But from my understanding, and Megan's gone through it as well when she left the box and when she came back on, we did a 40-minute review show. From what she says, from what she looked at, when that message came out, it was lap 55, and then they were told on lap 57 they could overtake. So if they let them through on lap 55, we would have had 3 laps of running at the front of the field. So yeah, they could have immediately told them to pass as soon as the safety car came out.
And on last week's episode of Grid Live Wrap Up, I'm sure you guys remember I said if things didn't get better for Michael Masi, they'd leave him at the airport in Abu Dhabi. And I'm wondering after today's confusing ending if they'll actually do just that. And we have a comment from Michael Tiller in the chat room saying you agree with Adam's take that this was a fantastic season. Even if Lewis won, he and Max had one incredible season. You felt like it'd go down to Abu Dhabi, but never predicted a tie in the points, and it was very intense. Totally agree with you, Michael. And also you said one rule about the yellow flag: you're not allowed to pass a car in that particular zone, even in full course caution. When the virtual safety car is deployed, as far as you know, you can only pass if there's an issue with the car or if you're permitted to overtake. When you're allowed, really appreciate all of your comments coming in the chat room. They're coming in hot and heavy, really fast. Josh Blaze said Masi should leave Formula One and be a part of the circus. Really appreciate everyone for sharing all of your comments. Encourage all of our viewers out there, wherever you're watching around the world, please share your thoughts on today's championship deciding Formula One Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi. And everyone is wondering about today's race. Early on and then later in the race, was Mercedes being way too cautious today with their strategy? Or like Ben said, is a darned if you do, darned if you don't situation. We saw the virtual safety car and a safety car. Mercedes did not stop for new tires, and Red Bull took advantage of that every single time. The old tires did not have a chance on the fresh tires at the end. So did Mercedes end up beating themselves with missed opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. I said it in the commentary as well. As soon as that first virtual safety car came out for Giovinazzi, Max pitted and Checo pitted. They put on a set of hard tyres apiece, and Lewis stayed out there on the set of softs. And I was screaming to myself saying, why didn't you pit? Why didn't you pit? I said it as much that it was another turning point in the World Championship that they decided to keep him out there. I don't know why they didn't pit him because they knew Verstappen was coming in, because Red Bull, as soon as the virtual safety car came out, Red Bull was straight in the pit lane. I don't know why it didn't happen for Mercedes. They said they'd lose too much track position. And that's what they said the second time as well. If anyone has cost Lewis Hamilton a world championship today, it's the FIA and Bono. I think Peter Bonington and Lewis Hamilton's relationship might be a little bit strained after today, because Bono kept him out there and it cost Lewis the title in the end. And Mercedes have actually just come out. I can see Andrew Shovlin and Ron Meadows are walking back towards Mercedes hospitality as things currently stand. They're very close together with their masks on as well. They don't look too pleased either. So I don't think Lewis Hamilton's world champion. Christian Horner's now coming out as well. He's got his mask off. He's smiling with Adrian Newey alongside him as well. I can just see Christian Horner smiling. I'm trying to hear if there's any news. Don't think there is. I think by Christian's body language, I would say they've thrown it out. That Max will be world champion, and they're throwing those protests out because Christian's still smiling. He's looking a bit serious, but he's still got a smile on his face. And I know Christian, you know Christian. If they've just taken his championship off him, he'd be kicking things up and down the paddock as well, and he'd be punching the kittens in the face as well. But still, he looks okay. It's the Mercedes boys who look a bit angry. So more on that as we go. Did Mercedes beat themselves up today? Yes, they did. Michael says, I have to agree. Hamilton and Mercedes took a huge risk trying to go all the way on those hard tyres. It was a gutsy gamble, but it just didn't pay off. It didn't. They had 3 opportunities to come into the pit lane, and they missed it every single time. And that is what cost them. Mercedes, as I've said, no overtaking under yellow flag. That's another reason why there's a steward, because Verstappen went slightly ahead of Hamilton on the restart. But I don't think anything's coming from that either, because Hamilton was backing the pack up so much. Verstappen literally had nowhere to go in that segment of the track. But there isn't any overtaking, but he still could have come in the pit lane and he wouldn't have lost track position anyway, because the pit lanes are separate part of the racetrack. It doesn't count. So he could have come in, should have come in, didn't come in, didn't just drop the ball. They went over, gave it to Christian Horner and signed it to Christian. Well done on Max. Love Bono. Not the Bono you're thinking of either.
I have to agree. A little bit of a shorter answer, but Mercedes, the safety car from Latifi's crash, they had an 11-second lead on Verstappen. Of course, Verstappen had to get around Latifi, slow down. So even if Mercedes had pitted for the soft tires and Red Bull stayed out, Lewis will be second place. Fresh, soft tires compared to Verstappen's hard tires, which weren't as old as Lewis, but still, you got put in the hand of the driver to go out there and make the pass. Now, I do believe Lewis would have been able to make that pass. I do recall how Lewis was pretty upset. And Mercedes, we're afraid we would lose track positions. You got a 7-time champion in your car, and you didn't give that 7-time champion a real fighting opportunity. I saw one comment in the chat room. Was Mercedes too scared to put Lewis behind Max? Possibly. We know what happens when Lewis tries to get around. Maybe Mercedes were just too concerned and let's just try to stay ahead. At the end, that one lap shootout, it just made it where the writing was on the wall. If Lewis had held off Max Verstappen on those old hard tires, we'd be saying on how Lewis deserved the championship, but it just was not going to happen. Max Verstappen is the world champion. He put up such an effort to get around, and as we see, Lewis knows the car. Lewis knew they messed up. At the end, I think it's just something where, as Michael Massey said when he was being radio, it's a motor race.
Yeah. What Lewis Hamilton should have done is during the first virtual safety car is come in and get new tires and go back out there, because that would have happened. I think we'd be talking about Lewis Hamilton now an 8-time F1 world champion instead of Max Verstappen. I mean, Lewis had opportunity after opportunity to come in and get new tires and didn't. I mean, Mercedes shot themselves in the foot. they cost Lewis Hamilton this championship easily. They had, I mean, didn't Mercedes realize they had a 7-time champion in the car, like you were mentioning, Joe? They could have easily gotten in, grabbed new tires, and went out and battled Max Verstappen all throughout the race. Lewis Hamilton having those old tires on, I believe, cost him the F1 World Championship.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I will say, though, I was a little surprised that at the start, or not at the start, rather, I guess the first set of pit stops, that Mercedes brought Lewis in the very next lap because he was on the mediums, Max was on the softs. I would have thought maybe to try to decrease the length of the last stint on the hards for Lewis, that they would have maybe left him out a little bit longer. I don't know if that would have made a difference in the end with fresh softs on Verstappen's car. Josh says, best FIA radio response of the year in my books. Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. I got to say, hearing the team principals get on the radio to Michael Masi. I understand we might have one more comment as well that I maybe missed when starting my answer there, but yeah, there's certainly no shortage of things to talk about there. And, I think everything is still so raw that it's maybe a little bit early to start thinking about, what if this, what if that. We're all still just trying to take in the craziness of that last lap, let alone the entire race and what actually went down. So I'm sure once everything settles here, Mercedes and Lewis will look back at moments where they could have done something a little bit differently and how that might have played out. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I do think it was a missed opportunity to do something a little bit different. But, like I said at the start, if you bring Lewis in, maybe Max stays out and does the opposite no matter what. So, it's who knows what would have happened there.
Got some news that's come through to me as well from people who are trackside, who says that what Mercedes actually want with the protest decision is for when Latifi hit the wall, which was with 5 laps to go, they want the race to go back to then. They want the safety car period and the last lap to be nullified from the race results. So they want it effectively to have been a red flag end of, and that would have given Lewis the victory. Where are live feeds being played? In terms of live feeds of the Sky F1 have got Ted's notebook on right now as well, and keep across of Sky Sports F1's YouTube channel. I think ESPN's also got it on as well for live feeds for any breaking news as well. Sergey says, why doesn't the rule no overtaken to yellow flags prevail? Well, in this instance as well, when there is no overtaken to yellow flags, that's an absolute no-no. If it's a full safety car or a virtual safety car, there is absolutely nothing allowed of overtaking or anything. Under a yellow flag, you can't overtake, but only in a sector. So if, say, you get a yellow flag, you can't overtake there, then you get a green flag after you can. Under a safety car, you're not allowed to overtake. That's the second thing that they're on about with the stewards. But what I'm on about right now is that the main reason they've protested the end of the race under that Article 48.2 is because the safety car should have stayed out until every lapped car was allowed to overtake. And that wasn't the case. Just 3 cars passed. So they've got it there that the FIA have breached their own technicality rules, and they want the race result to go from when the Latifi crashed and the safety car came out. So effectively, the last complete lap before the safety car, which would put Hamilton as the winner with Verstappen second, and crucially, Sergio Perez in 3rd place. So that's Ferrari going to be involved in this. I don't think the FIA are going to allow that, because if they do, that'll get protests from AlphaTauri. Well, not AlphaTauri. No, actually, it would do, wouldn't it? Because of Red Bull. It'll get protests from Red Bull, Ferrari, AlphaTauri, McLaren, Alpine as well, just because it changes their entire points-paying positions. And some of these were battling for the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes, I think, in this instance, should go for the FIA did this wrong. The man in charge should go, and not go for the fact that the championship should be gone to Lewis Hamilton because you've made a mistake. That in defense, that's not how it works. You can't just take it away from Max Verstappen when he's done nothing wrong in this instance. So this will get kicked out. Michael says, I mentioned you could overtake a car if it's having an issue. I want to double check. Are you allowed to do that? Yes. Okay. Now I get you. Okay. I get you, Michael. Yes. If a car is slowing down and having an issue under the safety car, you are allowed to pass. This happened in 2009 when Hamilton passed Jarno Trulli, for third place in Australia because Trulli went off the track. You're allowed to pass him. But then it got different there because Hamilton let him back through and then he passed him again and it all got complicated. But the letter of the law is if a car has a problem in front of you under a safety car or virtual safety car, you are allowed to pass because it's all about keeping that delta positive as well. But that's the news I've got so far. We're waiting to see if there will be any penalties. I doubt it. But if you're in the UK, I've got some news for you that Boris Johnson, our Lord and Dictator, Prime Minister, is addressing the nation at 8 o'clock. So if our day didn't get any worse, it's just got a little bit worse now for COVID.
Thank you for that insightful information, Josh. Definitely a lot of muck needs cleaning up in Abu Dhabi. And overall, getting back to the question, Mercedes really ended up beating themselves, shot themselves on the foot twice, and not coming down pit lane to get tires because that really ended up being the difference in the championship here. And it would have definitely been a much fairer fight if both Lewis and Max had equal tires instead of Max being on fresh and then Lewis just struggling to hold on. And Amber says, would it be a bad look for Formula One if Mercedes won the protest? For starters, I don't think Mercedes is going to win the protest at all, but if for some crazy reason they won the protest, that would be really, really something. It would be an extremely bad look to overturn a championship like that. I don't think that has any chances of happening at all. So Amber, I wouldn't really stress about that. At the end of the day, Max Verstappen is going to end up being the 2021 FIA Formula One World Champion, and I'm pretty sure I'm willing to bet $1 million they're not going to overturn that result at all. And Amber, I saw you earlier in the chat room. You were talking about the lap one incident that left controversy and questions between Hamilton and Verstappen. When Verstappen made the late move on Hamilton at the end of the first long straight, the two made contact. Hamilton went off track and maintained the lead, and Hamilton says he was pushed out and he kept going to avoid losing ground to Max and potentially Sergio Perez. Max and Red Bull were surprised that Hamilton didn't have to give up the position. So I'm going to ask you guys, starting with you, Ben, should Lewis have given the position back?
I completely forgot about that, to be honest. It's been such a crazy ending to the race. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all that. I don't know. The precedent was set in Brazil that they were going to, be a little more lenient when letting them race. And, like what happened in Saudi Arabia and the crazy final few laps in that race, I don't know if it would have made much of a difference. I think in a perfect world, Lewis probably keeps the position because Max's lunge was a little bit late there. But Lewis did cut off a good portion of a track. So maybe he comes back out on track, but gives up a little bit more the advantage he gained. And I know that was what the stewards said when they said no investigation necessary, that he did give up that advantage. I didn't know it. I don't know if he gave up all of it, but I think it's kind of irrelevant at this point with how the race played out. I don't think that was handled perfectly either, but we've got so many more things that happened that I don't know that it would have changed much anyway. Even if Max had gotten back around, I think Lewis had the race pace for much of the start there. Maybe could have found a way back around him, or who knows what would have happened. But I think ultimately it didn't change the outcome very much. What changed the outcome was what happened at the end of the race under the safety car. And Michael says he thinks Lewis should have given the spot back. He turned into Max and was forced off the run-up area. Yeah, it's maybe worth talking about because obviously there's still a question of what precedent's going to be set going into next year. But in terms of affecting the championship, I don't know that that's really the first point that you go back to in terms of if they had done something differently, what would have changed the outcome? Because so much happened after that did affect the outcome.
Yeah, and I think in this instance as well, the stewards deemed it that Hamilton was forced off the track by Verstappen, and I'd go with that. 2 seconds, Amber says, if Lewis wrecked Verstappen on the last lap, pushed him out of the way, what rules would have been broke? it would have had the same outcome. Verstappen would have still been a champion because of the countback. If Hamilton had hit Verstappen, it would have been deliberate contact. So he would have had a grid penalty for the next race in Bahrain, which is 2022, which would have been funny. I don't think a driver has ever taken over a penalty season to season. But he probably would have had a points deduction, which is what there was put in the rule book as well. But it didn't happen, and it wouldn't have happened because Hamilton needed to finish ahead of Max anyway. I completely forgot the question then because I was just talking about that. Could somebody remind me, please? It's been a very long time. Oh, I remember. It's okay. As I've remembered, it's the incident down at turn 6 and 7 on the first lap. Yeah, it was a weird one because we knew there was something going to happen on the first lap. I was convinced it happened at turn 1. But it was the crunch point I mentioned yesterday. The hairpin ended up deciding the title. So do I get a bonus point in pick a winner there? And so did turn 9, actually. So thank you. And 6 and 7. So I've 3 on the trot here. But yeah, Verstappen came from a very, very long way back and just sort of sent it up the inside. He didn't even attempt to make the apex. That was completely by running Hamilton off the road. Hamilton had to take avoiding action. In my opinion, that was Verstappen at fault, and Verstappen was very lucky not to get a penalty there for forcing him off the road, because that was exactly what he did in Brazil, and exactly what happened in Saudi Arabia as well when Hamilton forced him off a couple of laps later. So they've both been doing it all year, but in that instance, it was Verstappen lunging up the inside, didn't even attempt to make the apex, didn't turn in until after he'd made sure Hamilton was off the road. But Lewis avoided it, as he's been doing all season long, and it just set the precedent for a great race, and it lacklustered a little bit in the middle as well. We still had the tension building, but the end of that race, I think, it rivals 2008. I think, in fact, it beats 2008 for what happened, because that is one of the greatest title deciders I think we've ever seen. Because 2008 wasn't Massa and Hamilton side by side. 2021 was Verstappen and Hamilton side by side for the entire last lap. So. Yeah, tell you what though, fair play to the FIA. They certainly know how to fix a good end of the race, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And we have a comment from a viewer said, "Is there any change of Verstappen losing it?" No, I think Max Verstappen has won the FIA Formula One World Championship. I know that Mercedes has been protesting, but I don't think anything's going to happen. And regarding what happened in turn 6 and 7, I think it's racing. It's all I can say is that this F1 championship will go down as one of the greatest that we've ever seen. Going back to the years that I've been watching, going back to 1990 and even go back to 1989 when it was Alan Prost versus Ayrton Senna. 89, Alan Prost and Ayrton Senna took each other out in Japan. 1990, at the start of the race, Alan Prost and Ayrton Senna took each other out of the race, and Ayrton Senna won the championship that year. Kind of reminds me of those years. I mean, this will be a championship that they'll talk about for a long, long time to come. And we have to wait until 2022. I mean, new rules and regulations next year, a new car. Game on again.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've got conflicting reports here. The first part of what the FIA or what Mercedes want, which is to nullify the race, they've walked out of the stewards. The stewards will now reconvene in about 20 minutes' time to deal with the Verstappen safety car issue. But Mercedes, I'm hearing reports and I'm waiting for it to come through. But according to reports from Hazel Southwell as well, that Mercedes are going to the Court of Arbitration to get this result overturned. So this result is going to take months now. So it looks like I'm on a one-way ticket to Paris to stand outside the FIA to say who the 2021 world champion is going to be. So I'm confirmed at the moment. We're waiting for it. But I've just been told that it looks like we're going to have the Court of Arbitration to decide the 2021 world champion. Oh, come on, Mercedes. For once in your life, just be grown up enough to accept that you lost.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Imagine what the
still got
Dutch
the
Grand Prix is
constructors.
going to look like next year if they overturn that.
Oh,
My
boy.
God.
I can imagine.
And the
oh,
Austrian
boy.
Grand Prix, I guess, for Red Bull. But
I can
Yeah.
imagine. It's lights out in Bahrain, and Lewis Hamilton wins the 2022 race. Oh, I'm just hearing as well, he's won the 2021 World Championship. It's taken 3.5 months to get to this. Just accept it that they lost. I mean, this is getting a bit silly now.
Thank you, Josh.
The FIA could come back at them now, and especially Formula One, they could take Mercedes to trial and say you're bringing the sport into disrepute. If Mercedes do go to the Court of Arbitration, this is going to open up a massive can of worms. And I honestly don't know. This could end up with one of them being disqualified from either the Drivers' or the Constructors' Championship. This is unprecedented and another twist in the 2021 season. I'm hopeful that when the stewards reconvene in 20 minutes, that it's literally just going to be we find no further action for both. After that, what Mercedes do, that's it. Yes, Josh, I just saw your message as well.
Josh, I hate to keep this going because I know we still have some show to do. But have you heard anything as to why Red Bull retired Sergio Perez's car there at the end under the safety car?
I haven't actually. I haven't heard anything from Perez.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it was a gearbox problem from what I was told during the race. But I will chase that up now for you to see why they retired him, because I thought that was weird.
I know Bottas was so far back that, I mean, the constructors, Mercedes obviously had an advantage there, but that fight wasn't clinched either. So I thought it was very strange they would have brought him in with no apparent issue. But
I will get on that.
Let's
now
keep the
and get
show
back to
going
you.
here. We got a lot of news. I'm sure it's going to keep breaking, so we might as well keep going on here.
We haven't got plans for dinner tonight, guys.
Yeah, keep the show rolling here. Mercedes, wow, really stunning that they're gonna drag this out into the courts, knowing they're gonna lose. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that they're going to lose this case. There's literally like almost there's like a 0% chance that this is going to work. They should just accept that they lost and move on to next season and have another comment saying that going to court is the worst they can do is motor race and let it go. And then ever says boo courts, lawyers be happy. Yeah, I don't really understand why Mercedes is going this far, because at the end of the day, Max is still going to be the world champion. I'm wondering, is this just performative by Mercedes, showing that they did everything they possibly could to try to win this championship? Certainly failed to get the job done today on the track with those two missed calls not to come into the pits. And I have a question right here that say, could the retirement have been a tactical move? What advantages could it have gained? We don't know for sure if it was a tactical move by Red Bull. I know some people on social media have been speculating about it because at first Michael Masi wasn't going to do the wave-by procedure, and Sergio that there would have been some cars in between, and some people thought that by retiring Perez that would have been less of a distraction between Max and Lewis. So I don't really know what was going on there with Red Bull. Sergio Perez retiring at the end of the race. It was actually a really strange retirement that happened all of a sudden.
I've got the answer. If you want to pop to me quick.
Go ahead, Josh.
I've just literally just found the answer to that. It's because he was in front. He was part of that pack. He was part of the pack that was separating the two. So Red Bull retired him for a tactical decision to try and get that 8-second gap down. So it was tactical. That's the only reason. The same was what Mercedes did with Bottas a week ago in Saudi. They retired him to get him out of the way. So I found that interesting. That's all I found so far.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting call there by Red Bull at the end. Guess they wanted to give their driver the best chance to win the world championship there at the end. And for most of the race, it really looked like Lewis had it in the bag until the now infamous late race safety car. He had one hand on the championship, as we like to say, until it slipped away at the very last moment. And in your opinion, like, what are Lewis's chances of winning his 8th world championship next year? And will this year's controversial ending make him more motivated than ever?
Sorry, I forgot you were coming to me there first. I was just I was keeping an eye on the FIA channel. I think Lewis's chance of winning an 8th world title next year are extremely high. A new regulation change. He seems to thrive when they happen, especially if you remember 2012, he got the best car at the beginning of the season, then McLaren let it go for the rest because it was quite strong in the first couple of races. 2014, he took off 2017 again took off. He's just very quick with the new regulation of cars. I think the one thing we've got to worry about next year is that it's a complete change. Everything has changed. The cars changed, the engine mapping changing as well, the fuel changes, which is crucial, the tires change. There's not one thing that will look the same as to what we had in this last race here today. So I think Lewis stands a very good chance because he deals best with change. But I don't count out Ferrari. They got a podium today with their 2022 engine bolted in the back. It's just a prototype, but boy, if that's what that engine can do with a good aero package on it for next season, Ferrari could be right up there playing with the big boys again.
Yeah, I think Lewis Hamilton has a good shot to win title number 8 next year. Like you're mentioning, Josh, he's really good at when it comes to new regulations. So I think Lewis Hamilton could have a shot to win his 8th championship next year. But never count out Red Bull with Max Verstappen. He's going to have a really big target on his back after what we saw happen today at the US Marine Circuit. It's, everyone's going to be starting fresh. It'll be who can perform, at least for me, for the first couple races, and I think will determine, who we think, will be the 2022 F1 World Champion. It's like a wild card. Everybody's starting fresh, new, and we don't know what's going to happen. But like you're mentioning, Ferrari had their 2022 engine in that car today. The prancing horse. If Ferrari would have won the championship next year, the prancing horse and everyone in Italy would probably go absolutely nuts.
That's been a long time. We said goodbye to Kimi today. He was their last drivers' champion. Of course, they won the constructors in 08. That was the last time they were split, actually, until today, the drivers and the constructors championships. I think Lewis, I just did a video on this, ironically enough, yesterday. I was rushing to get it out because I knew Lewis could get his 8th today, and I suppose I could have waited a few more months to do that video because we still don't have an 8-time world champion in Formula One. But I think absolutely he's got at least a couple more chances to get it done, although it's way too early to predict with new regulations coming in next year and such wide sweeping regulations. Thinking back to 2009 when Ross Brawn bought a team for £1 and took it to both the drivers and the constructors championship. And then that team became the Mercedes team. It's been so dominant in recent years, but who would have thought that would have happened after the end of 2008 with the battle between McLaren and Ferrari, and then Brawn and Red Bull end up getting the regulations right. And they're the ones fighting for the championship the very next season. So it could be a Ferrari McLaren battle next year. Mercedes and Red Bull take a step back, but I'm sure Mercedes and Red Bull are obviously they have very talented and smart people working on those cars. They're going to adapt very, very well. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them continue to dominate Formula One next season. I just think it's way too early to predict champion because there's so much we still have to learn about these new cars that are coming in next year.
When it comes to next year, there's a lot of questions. Definitely want to get through some of the comments. Mercedes got Constructor Championship, Red Bull, oh well. Anyways, and then thoughts about the 2022 Haas? Well, Haas, I think, is going to be something else. We're going to just have to wait and see. And we're definitely getting through as many of the comments as we can through the show. Next year for Lewis Hamilton, I think it's going to be much harder because one of the questions we have, will Russell be a Valtteri or a Nico? I think Russell's going to be like a Nico. He's not going to be joining Mercedes just to be the number 2. He's had a long road with Williams to prove he could be in that car. We didn't know if he was going to be in there until much later in the season. So he's going to have a brand new teammate. We see Lewis Hamilton. He's getting older. This was his best shot at 8. 23 races. New car, new team. Yes, his experience could indicate he'll be a favorite. But I also think just like sometimes we see in NASCAR when there's a new package, cup of car tomorrow and all that, sometimes the top rises up again. Lewis Hamilton could do that, but I just think it's so unpredictable that I think maybe this is why Mercedes is really pushing it, because they know this was the best opportunity for Lewis to get number 8 because there's so many unknowns for 2022.
Yes, so many unknowns for 2022, and responding to some fan comments, especially about Haas. If you saw what happened a few hours before the race, Haas F1 driver Nikita Mazepin tested positive for coronavirus, and would definitely wish Nikita a speedy recovery. He said he's not showing any symptoms, so that's a really good sign. And George Russell, I do agree that I believe he'll be more like a Nico, and I do, when George Russell gets there next year. I'll be surprised if Lewis Hamilton stays in Formula One long after that, because George Russell, in my opinion, is a number one driver, and Lewis Hamilton's, obviously a number one driver. And I believe at some point Russell and Hamilton are gonna butt heads. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of when that happens, because George Russell, his potential is enormous, and it's gonna be interesting to see the inter-team dynamic between him and Lewis Hamilton next year. Michael Taylor says that was not the way I wanted to see Raikkonen leave, and no one wants to DNF in their last race. Regardless, he had a great career and prove you don't have to win every race to win a title. Totally agree with you. Definitely a great Formula One career coming to an end for the Iceman, Kimi Raikkonen. And Darkness is Fallen says the aerodynamics on the 2022 Formula One cars will make the pack much tighter. You believe instead of one or two cars dominating the Formula One grid? We certainly hope so. Definitely like to see more winners throughout the field and become more competitive, so we don't just have two drivers going for the championship. Have maybe like 3, 4, even 5 if we're lucky. And answer the question about Lewis, I think he's definitely going to be extremely motivated to get title number 8 in 2022. I'm sure it's very frustrating the way it ended this year, and that's definitely going to light a fire under him, that him and Mercedes are going to work even harder over the off season. And when it's time for lights out and away we go in 2022, we may see Lewis Hamilton at his best yet, and we've already seen him at his best. But I believe for Lewis Hamilton, the best may be yet to come. And while Lewis didn't win the driver's title, Mercedes claimed their 8th championship in the constructors, but there really wasn't a lot of celebration afterwards. Lots of disappointment, because they really wanted that drivers championship for Lewis Hamilton. We just talked about him. Next year, George Russell joining the team, while Sergio Perez is returning to Red Bull. And Perez did his part in holding up Lewis after the first pit stop, but had to retire the car at the end. Carlos Sainz took 5th in the Drivers' Championship ahead of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, and a strong podium result today for Carlos. And Adam and Josh, I know you already talked about Ferrari a little bit, and I'll let you expand on your answer, Adam. Do you think next year's battle is going to be Red Bull versus Mercedes again, or do you think Ferrari could return to form?
I think, what we saw today, with Ferrari getting this podium, and we have another comment from Darkness Has Fallen. He says there will be more than 2 teams to fight for the championship. I gotta agree with you. 2022 is going to be fresh, new. We saw what happened, overall this year. You've had teams like McLaren win a race. We've had Bastian Ocon win a race. I think, with everything that's happened, everything that could happen next year, I think I think Ferrari could take it to Red Bull and Mercedes next year, even McLaren. But we'll see what happens, come next year when the F1 season starts in Bahrain.
Well, it finally happened. I guess I skipped ahead a little bit inadvertently. But I think, like I said, it's such an unknown. I think absolutely you could see Ferrari back up there. The last time, I know the regulation changes, the changes weren't as wide sweeping as they are now in 2017, but that was when we saw Ferrari come off of winless season. Sebastian Vettel really take the fight to Lewis Hamilton. Looked for a second there that he might have a shot to win a 5th drivers' championship, and Ferrari as well, challenging Mercedes a little bit more frequently. So maybe that's something Ferrari can thrive on and take the fight to Mercedes next year. And McLaren as well. They showed signs of brilliance this year, and got a 1-2 at Monza with their Mercedes engine. I've got to wonder what Fernando Alonso must be thinking, seeing McLaren finally return to form and a Honda-powered Red Bull taking Max Verstappen to the World Championship. I wonder what's going through his mind right now.
When it comes to everything going on, I think next year Ferrari, they're going to be there. They were looking really good. And overall, I just think Ferrari, for sure, they're going to get at least one win, potentially more. We do have a question. Do you believe Russell will be next year a possible championship contender? Absolutely. I do think George Russell in that Mercedes is going to be a contender. And of course, we see CKH commenting they were at Austin, Texas when Kimi Räikkönen won his last race. Definitely Formula One. They're going to have 2 races in the United States. Austin, Texas, Miami. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think next year, the season between those 2 teams, plus I anticipate Mercedes to be there. I mean, not Mercedes, Ferrari to be there. I would not be surprised if we see McLaren respond back with at least 1 win, maybe more. And of course, we got Azerbaijan, Baku. That could be a crazy wave. Who knows who's going to win that one?
Right, I've got some news as they have gone back to the stewards. Mercedes of Ron Meadows and Andrew Shovlin and Christian Horner and Adrian Newey have all gone back to the stewards. They have now been recalled after that 20 minutes with the new emphasis that this has got to be settled tonight. The FIA Gala on Thursday, where the 2021 World Champion will officially be crowned and given the trophy, that is an FIA event. It's under the sporting code. So they have been told we must come to a decision tonight. They're giving it a 3-hour window. And after that, they're throwing it out. Mercedes can then go to the Court of Arbitration if they need it. They can go to the FIA in Paris, the World Motorsport Council. It won't matter. We will know in a couple of hours' time, hopefully within the hour, that who is the 2021 world champion. And if you're living in the UK, Sky Sports are still live after Ted's Notebook. They've come back, so they might be live in America as well on ESPN. And also, if you live in the UK, Channel 4 has come back on air, and they're now airing their highlight show, and they're going to stay live all the way throughout until they find out. An unprecedented day in UK for F1 scheduling like this. You don't get Channel 4 live straight after, but this is just another crazy end. I've got to step out for a minute, but I'll be back in a couple. So that's the news I've got right now because I need a charger if I'm going to keep up with this. I'll be back in a second.
Wow, thank you for that major breaking news update, Josh. That's just really crazy that they're speeding up the process to get an answer ASAP. I see got a comment right there saying the results should stand and Michael Masi should be sacked. And I'm wondering who's going to get sacked first, Michael Masi or Urban Meyers, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's having a really rough time, really lost that locker room down there in Florida. Oh, man, everybody knew that was going to be a mistake, but that's a story for another day. And Michael Taylor says the way George Russell racing secure, I see great opportunity in him. I totally agree with you, Michael. I think George Russell's going to do well. And when someone else was on there, I also saw the comment asking like how do we think George Russell's going to do in 2022? I think George Russell is going to be competitive. I think he's going to pose a greater challenge to Hamilton than Valtteri Bottas ever did. As for contending for a world championship, I'm not sure if George Russell's going to do that in his first year with a top tier Formula One team, but I do think that he'll win several races and be very competitive, and we'll see Hamilton and Russell butt heads, kind of like Hamilton did with Rosberg, and we saw all throughout the year every race mattered. The championship wasn't locked up several races early. 2 drivers entered the last race tied in points, really unprecedented in Formula One, and it came down to 1 lap shootout in the final corners of the race. And overall, did the race really live up to the hype?
Yeah, it did. I mean, there's certainly no shortage of things to talk about. I don't know what more you could have wanted realistically from this season, from this race. I guess maybe you could say it started to look like it was maybe going to be a little bit dull the second half after Verstappen started closing a little bit after he went on to the second set of hards after the VSC. But it looked like Lewis was pulling away still. It was going to be his championship, and then the safety car obviously completely changed everything. But yeah, I mean, there's really I wish I had a more elaborate answer for you, but yes, I mean, everything we talked about lived up to the hype. Hey, Ed is Ed Hunter's in the chat. Look at that. Looks like he's got a prediction for George Russell here. While he's had some exceptional performances, if he has a bad start or an off day, there will be nowhere to hide like there is at Williams. I completely agree. I think he has shown flashes of brilliance for sure, and of course, getting the opportunity to race the Mercedes and secure last year very easily could have won the race had things gone slightly differently. So I think Russell's going to certainly be competitive. I don't know that you can go so far as to call him a championship contender just yet. We have to see how he does and maybe give him a year to get up to speed with the Mercedes. But I think he's going to be competitive, and I would certainly not be shocked if he wins a couple of races in 2022.
2022, oh man, that's going to be something else for Russell. A lot of pressure. This race lived up to the hype easily, especially when you look at like the other series that had championship deciders. I think of IndyCar. It seemed that was Ron Fruma's win paddle award so early in the race. At the end of lap 1, got spun, I believe, and then was not a contender. This one, it looked like it was all going to go Lewis's way. Great start. He held him off for the longest time, considering he was on medium, Max on the soft. We had the safety cars. Mercedes played it conservatively. And at the end, a one-lap shootout for the championship. This makes it where Rush, Hunt, Lauda, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a wonderful movie when it is made. I hope we don't have to wait 30 or 40 years for this. I want this movie within the next 5 years. Great job. Because, boy, we are really witnessing something. And I'm just really hoping that it does not go into the courts in Paris with the FIA.
Yeah, that's called, I've said it several times here. The rest live up to the hype? Absolutely. And don't forget to subscribe to us here at Grid Network. From all of us, we want to say we appreciate all the comments that we've had on the show today. It's been incredible. One of the greatest shows that we've ever done. So did the rest of the time? Yep. And I agree with you, Joe. I hope it doesn't go. I hope this doesn't go to the pair. I hope this does not go to Paris at all. And also, we want to thank our Patreon subscribers, Colin, Mark, T-Shell, and Robin. We really appreciate you all year long, and we look forward to bringing you absolutely more content in 2022. Thanks again, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. I've stepped out and I've got more news for you. I've got my phone charged now, so I can actually keep it up. Right, here we go. Take a deep breath, keep calm, and start processing. You ready? Right. Mercedes want the last lap not to count, as I've already told you. That's been made official. They want the race to go back to before Max Verstappen overtook Lewis Hamilton. Michael Masi is involved in the meeting as well, saying that he did everything by the book. But teams are saying no, you didn't. Michael's now having to face the stewards as well, which is very rare for the race director to be called up in front of the stewards. Michael Masi's charge is race fixing. Believe it or not, that's what is a major thing. Mercedes are threatening to go to the Court of Arbitration as well. They haven't yet done so. They are threatening with it. This has to be dealt with tonight. It has to be before Thursday as well. That is the cutoff point for the FIA trophy. Also, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are still at the circuit. And I feel for Max Verstappen because he should be celebrating his first world championship, and instead he's sat around wondering if he is world champion. This is leaving a sour taste in my mouth as well, and this isn't right. I'm keeping up across all the information as well. I know we're due off on the Grid Network soon, so all I will say is that there will be a special show on my own YouTube channel. If there's any news, and there will be news, there will be a show on the YouTube channel. We'll have that on as well. You can get it in the link in the description. Turn on your notifications as well. And also, I'm sure as soon as I finish with it, the Grid Network, you'll get the video and you'll put it on the channel on here as well, so nobody misses anything. But it is major things at the moment that this could go as far as the Motorsport World Council in Paris. But it's tonight or nothing, really, in terms of what the stewards can do at this circuit.
Oh, it really sounds like it's going to be an extremely long night in Abu Dhabi, and I totally agree with you, Josh. Also leaves a sour taste in my mouth as well. And the longer Mercedes plays this little charade or whatever they're trying to accomplish here, it's really making a lot of people lose respect for them as a team because they lost this championship. It was unfortunate. It was a heartbreaker how they lost the championship, but they just need to admit that we lost. We need to lick our wounds and see what went wrong and come back to fight again another day, like they've always done in the past. So I don't understand why they're trying to keep dragging this out. And Ed Hunter says at least Mercedes did all their paperwork and are not been disqualified for submitting the wrong tires or anything. That's a Formula E joke there. Thank you for your comment, Ed. And you say, oh wait, that was Porsche, and never mind. And for now, we're on behalf of everyone at GRIDnet, we're saying congratulations to Max Verstappen on winning his first Formula One World Championship, probably the first of several. I do expect that his championship and race winning results going to stand from today. I'll be if it's anything else, and it's definitely been a phenomenal season of Formula One. We cannot wait for 2022 to arrive, and with the 2021 Formula One season in the books, that means all major motorsport series and the grid ranking are finished too. So the grid ranking is official. World Rally Championship's very own Sebastian Ogier, the Frenchman, is the 2021 grid ranking world champion.
And for all of our viewers, a programming note: if for some reason there is a reversal with the championship standings, we will be on the air because that is obviously major breaking news if that occurs. So be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network right here. And of course, as Joshua mentioned, he'll have a show linked in the video description. And also be sure to check out Ben Schneider's YouTube channel. Great video on the 7-time championship barrier that seems so hard for drivers in Formula One, IndyCar, and NASCAR to break. But once again, if there's any major change, particularly the F1 championship being reversed, we will be on the air. Be sure to subscribe and not miss it. And of course, for everyone that's been following us all year, the grid ranking has come to a close. Congratulations to Sebastian Ogier, World Rally Championship. He won the championship and the grid ranking this year. Out of the 12 races, 5 wins, 91% of the times he finished in the top 5, and 92% of the time finished in the top 10. He becomes the first French racer to win the grid ranking championship, and the oldest at 37 years, 11 months. Martin Truex Jr. was 37 years and 5 months in 2017. Starting with you, Kobe. Was Sebastian Ogier the surprise champion?
Yes and no. Yes, it was a surprise because I thought Shane Van Gisbergen had it all wrapped up, and we talked about it on the Bathurst 1000 post race show last week because Shane Van Gisbergen had been leading the grid ranking world championship basically all year long, and then he lost it at the very end. We had the issue with the tire and the closing laps of the Bathurst 1000, but Sebastian Ogier, world class racer, world rally champion, multiple times. I believe he has eight of them now, I believe. Yeah, and it's just really cool to see what Sebastian Ogier's been able to do throughout his rallying career. And I don't know what I'm going to do next year for pick a winner with Sebastian Ogier because he got me a lot of points, and he's actually going to be taking a step back from racing next year, running in select events here and there, and he wants to do some circuit racing as well. Potentially his home race, the 24 hours of Le Mans. So overall, Sebastian Ogier, yes, he's a surprise champion because I thought SVG had in the back, but no, because he's a world class racer.
Yeah, as the Repco Supercars expert here at the Grid Network, I thought SVG would have won as well. But like you mentioned, Kobe, a tire a tire problem the last couple laps at the Bathurst 1000 cost SVG the Grid Ranking World Championship. And gotta say, Sebastian Ogier is, like you said, Kobe, a world-class driver. Lots of respect for him. You know, the WRC, you know, they compete all over the world, and not only do they race on tarmac, but they race on dirt, ice, snow, and normally their event takes several days to finish in. Even though Sebastian, they does have a navigator next to him. OJ, to me, will go down as one of the greatest World Rally Championship competitors in history, and there have been so many that I could think of, names like Richard Burns and Colin McRae, among others, who have competed and won championships. But Sebastian is a 8-time WRC world champion, and now the 2021 Grid Ranking World Championship. Lots of respect for him, and I wish him complete success, whatever he does in his motorsports future.
His motorsports future, I think, is going to be very bright when he goes circuit racing, especially with his relationship with Toyota Gazoo Racing. This year, the grid ranking had 6 lead changes between 3 drivers. Overall, we saw Shane Van Gisbergen from Supercars lead the first 2 weeks, week 4 and 12, and 21 through 35, while Ogier led week 13 through 20 and 36 through 37. Robin Pera, he led week 3 and became the youngest driver to lead the grid ranking at 20 years old and 6 months. The margin of victory, 0.5, third closest between 2019 and 2018, the closest at 0.01. This year, though, a lot of talk has been about the driver in third place, Kyle Larson. Last year's NASCAR Cup Series champion Chase Elliott finished 13th in the 2020 grid ranking. Kyle Larson, third place. 10 wins, 55% of the time he finished in the top 5, 72% of his finishes in the top 10 this year. Larson was 0.85 away from the lead. Compared to third last year, that was a full 3.74, so very much close. The gap was in contention up until after Sydney, where Shane Van Gisbergen pretty much made it mathematically ineligible for Kyle Larson to get there, and OJ won Rally Monza. Now, sometimes it seems when it comes to motorsports, dirt track racing, and sometimes even NASCAR does not get a fair shake. People discredit them, don't see it at such a high level as World Rally or Formula One. Ben, starting with you, does the grid ranking further validate that Kyle Larson is one of the best drivers in the world?
I think half of Twitter is going to be mad at me no matter how I answer this question here. Some people seem to think Larson is right up there with Lewis Hamilton. You stick him in an F1 car, he'd win right away. Others think, he's just won a couple of dirt races in the middle of nowhere here in America, and, it's kind of insignificant. So I'll try to bridge the middle ground here. I think Larson obviously had a phenomenal season, a dominating season in NASCAR. Praise Jesus, he won the championship. I don't even want to think about what the reaction would have been on social media had he not, and with the format that NASCAR has. But I've got to say, he had a phenomenal year. I think we need to see a little bit of a sustaining level of dominance before we put him up there with the Hamiltons and the, dare I say it, the Andrettis of the world. Like I said, a great year for Kyle Larson. Certainly a very talented driver. One of the most talented drivers in America, absolutely. In the world of all time, give it a few more years and maybe get back to me. I'll have an answer for you then.
Breaking news, they have left the stewards' room for a second time. So that was actually done quite quickly. They've been in and out of the stewards as long as we've been on air here. So we've really covered it all here, guys, which I think is a first here on the Grid Network. So Mercedes and Red Bull have left the stewards again. Red Bull unhappy that Mercedes came prepared with QC. Now, QC is a member of the Queen's Court. That is a barrister. So they did take a barrister, a judge effectively, and a lawyer into their meetings. And I've seen a photo of it now. So Red Bull are unhappy about that. And there's a picture that I'm looking at right now that has been taken by Chris Metland. Andrew Shovlin looks like he is smiling underneath his mask, and Christian Horner has had that smile wiped off his face. So something's going on. They've left the stewards again, which means it's only a matter of moments before we learn what the steward's decision is going to be. Maybe it's Christian in a talking position. I can't quite see. It's too far away. If I just give me a second, if I really lean in with my glasses on, yeah, Christian doesn't look like he's actually got any facial expression on. So Mercedes pulling in my cousin's a QC card. Yes, absolutely, Ed. I'll tell you what, Ed, at least we never had this with Formula E, but that stupid tyre rule as well that we had a couple of races back. So it's still breaking here. And Mercedes, actually, a quote has just come out saying that from Red Bull, we are a race team. We did not come here with a QC. We did not come ready to protest. Oh, yeah. Why did Mercedes come here with a QC, I wonder? And Joe saying in the chat, is the Queen involved? No, Her Majesty is not involved as well. But it's the Queen's courtroom. So Red Bull unhappy that they've come here with a judge and a barrister, which must have meant that Mercedes must have thought worst case scenario as well. I'll keep you all across the news. I think we're about 10 minutes away from it.
10 minutes away. And of course, as I mentioned to everyone viewing, if there is a reversal, we will be back on the air. And of course, links to Joshua and Ben's channel on the video description. Be sure to subscribe. Going back to the grid ranking, Kyle Larson, second time he finished in the top 10. Back in 2017, he finished 8th. Alex Palou, first time the IndyCar driver has finished this time in the top 10 for a while at 7th place. And it's very unique because IndyCar is so competitive and hard to dominate. That's why when you look at series that are really hard to dominate, such as Formula E, first time in a while, no Formula E racer in the top 15. The best driver, Lucas di Grassi, 60% of the time he finished in the top 10, compared to Elfyn Evans, who finished 100% in the top 10. So definitely, when it comes to the grid ranking, starting with you, Joshua, out of the 7 series, which one do you feel is the hardest to see a driver dominate, and which one is the easiest to see a driver dominate?
Who's going first? Adam, is it me or is it you?
It's you, Josh.
Oh, okay. Which is the hardest across the series? I think IndyCar. I'd go IndyCar. I think Formula One this year has very much been a battle between two. And IndyCar was a battle throughout the entire year. There was no clear championship winner until the last 3 races. And it's definitely got some of the greatest talents in the world there as well. Everybody used to say, oh, IndyCar, that's only for American drivers and where washed up F1 drivers go. No, we're now seeing that it's where people choose to be. So I definitely say IndyCar's got one of the most competitive fields and definitely one of the best drivers going for 2022.
Well, it's going to feel weird saying this after what we just saw, but I would say the most likely series is still probably Formula One, because we could be talking about Mercedes having 8 consecutive drivers and constructors championships right now. We are talking about them having 8 consecutive constructors championships, although I think the constructors is probably the furthest thing by their mind right now. They're trying to see if there's any way, shape, or form they can argue that that Lewis should have a driver's himself and get both championships there. And I've got to say, I'm with Stu here. I see his comment. I just think it's not even. I mean, the parity certainly is very great in NASCAR, and it's increased quite a bit over the years. But I have to say, with the current playoff system, where it comes down to one race, I mean, Kyle Larson was one well-timed caution away from not being champion this year after the dominating season that he had. So even if you dominate a season in NASCAR, there's no guarantee that you even make the championship for, let alone have an opportunity to go on and win the championship. So, like I said in my video yesterday, I think it's very unlikely we see a 7-time champion in NASCAR again, as long as they keep this format, because it's just so hard to stay on top with when one race determines a champion. There's so many variables there.
I've been watching motorsports for a long time, so among the series, among the 7 series you mentioned, Joe, which one is easiest to win and hardest to win? I think the hardest to win has to be NASCAR because, because of the playoff format and everything else. I I think F1's a really good F1's a really good championship as well. You know, I am kind of biased here since I am the Repco Supercars expert. You know, they race all over Australia and sometimes parts of New Zealand, but yeah, Amber, I gotta say that is, I have to agree with you. IndyCar is hardest. You know, there's so many outcomes. You know, but I gotta say NASCAR is one of the hardest to win because of the playoff format right now, and IndyCar as well.
Well, for me, I have to say that when you look at Formula E, it's really hard to see one of those drivers dominate. As you mentioned, Joe, no Formula E racer in the top 15. We always like to joke about the Formula E Wheel of Destiny on this program because because with the qualifying format and the way everything works in Formula E is like so random. It's like pick a name out of a hat, and that's gonna be your race winner. So I think it's really hard to see the driver dominating the grid ranking in Formula E, but the one that's easiest, I think, definitely Repco Supercars Championship right now, because we saw Shane Van Gisbergen was multiple steps ahead of his competition this year and flat out dominated, and that's why he did extremely well in the grid ranking in comparison to his rivals in the Repco Supercars championship, and was unfortunately lost the grid ranking there at the end. But I'm sure next year, 2022 grid ranking world championship, he'll be one of the favorites to take home the crown since Sebastian Ogier won't be a factor.
I feel like more like Ted Kravitz every day. We're coming back and forward to me so much today. Sorry, guys. But Martin Brundle has just tweeted that Christian Horner just said to me, nothing decided yet, but he expects a decision tonight. Presumably the losing side will then appeal anyway. Yeah, that's probably going to be. So expecting a decision tonight, which is fantastic news. And Christian, if he was talking with Martin Brundle, it looks like that might be a good sign that it might not be there. And Michael says, the way Mercedes have... I need my glasses. I can't read that after. The way Mercedes has handled this, I'm pretty much losing my respect for them. To be fair, so am I. They may be an 8-time world champion. They can't settle for the constructors' title. They're desperate to get this as well. But on a side note there, I have heard from French TV that Lewis Hamilton has not done any of his media sessions because he's actually been crying in his trailer as well. But I'll just like to say, Lewis, you've driven a hell of a season. You'll get him next year as well. And on the same note, congratulations to Max as well as things stand as well. You've both done an incredible season. You've given us so much pleasure over this year. Hold your heads high, guys. You've done a great job.
A great job. When it comes to motorsports, the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory, this race had it all coming down to the last lap. Now, we do have a comment from Ed Hunter where, of course, for those not familiar, Ed Hunter, part of Formula E Zone. And definitely he has his comment about the testing of Formula E and the formats quite well and should prevent that Formula E Wheel of Destiny from being so random next year. Definitely we encourage everyone to be sure check out Formula E Zone. You can find their profile link on our profile. And we want to thank everyone for subscribing. We're up to 289. Let's get to 300. We would love to get to 300 and thank everyone for tuning in to today's program. We'll continue following Formula One news throughout the day. And of course, as I mentioned, if there's for some reason a reversal, which will be huge, we'll be back on the air. So don't miss that program. We are discussing the grid ranking, which of course is our annual series where we score drivers from 7 series across the world, including Formula One. Next year, for the first time in the grid ranking history, the defending champion is not returning. Sebastian Ogier will be retiring. And you see last year's champion, Lewis Hamilton, Marc Marquez, the only driver to repeat, and Martin Truex Jr., the only NASCAR driver, an American, to win the grid ranking world championship. His score overall, as you saw, is the 3rd highest in the grid ranking history book. 2022, Formula One, NASCAR, and World Rally Championship will have a new car to promote closer competition. Might be much harder to see one team, one driver dominate. 2023, a new Formula E car and supercar coming. So again, it's just going to bunch up the competition. So that leaves IndyCar, MotoGP, and of course IndyCar is very competitive already. MotoGP will be really interesting to see what happens with Fabio Quartararo, Marc Marquez, and the Ducati drivers, especially Pecco Bagnaia. Starting with you, Kobe, do you believe we're starting to see an era where it will become harder and rarer to see a driver dominate their respective series?
Oh, absolutely. And I've said numerous times before on here that I believe we're entering a new golden era of motorsports with everything happening, with a lot more attention on making the cars a lot more competitive, being easier to pass, and just focus on the on track product. With Formula One, have no idea how those cars are going to race yet, but the expectation is that it's going to even the playing field a little bit more, put on better races, makes it a lot easier for them to follow behind and make overtakes instead of getting stuck in the dirty air. As for NASCAR, it really depends on what happens with that next gen car. There's a lot of concerns about that. Martin Truex Jr. spoke to Racer.com, and he said the car is clearly not even not even really remotely close to being ready yet, and NASCAR is still working around the clock to get the car ready for the 2022 Daytona 500. Lots of exciting things in World Rally Championship as well. In supercars, those cars look really good. Excited to see the Camaro and the Ford battle down under. Formula E, it looks like they're going with a brand new concept there that should be really interesting. MotoGP, IndyCar, very competitive series as well. But I think the competition all across the world is getting more competitive, a lot tighter, and I think it is gonna be extremely competitive, and it's gonna be harder in certain series to see drivers win multiple championships since it's so competitive.
Yeah, I think starting next year, I think it's now the golden age of motorsports. F1's got a new car. Supercars is going to have a new car in a couple of years. NASCAR is going to have a new car next year. I think a lot more fans across the world will, especially here in America, will be tuning in more to F1 to see. I think a lot of F1 fans, will be tuning in here in America, next year after the season that we've had. NASCAR, of course, it if you're not a motorsports fan after everything this year, then well, I think you've been living under a rock, because next year there's going to be so many new cars coming out, and the competition will get tighter, better, and more excitable for fans across all forms of motorsports.
How long has it been now? What, 4 hours since the race ended? It's still going on. Right. Josh Plays got in touch, who is the also pit reporter. He's watching now. He said, the chat won't let him put it through, but BBC 5 Live have been on air as well. They've stayed on air and said that Horner has come out the stewards and he's high-fiving people as well with a massive smile on his face as well. So it looks like he is okay. We've got another one. Nate Sanders, who's down on the ground, one of the reporters, says, real sense of confusion and frustration at how everything has played out. Red Bull are in championship t-shirts, but celebrations seem to have died down a bit. Big uncertainty what happens next. Well, I can say what happens next as well. The stewards have made a decision. We haven't got it yet, but from what I'm seeing from people around there, it looks like Red Bull are starting to celebrate again. So whatever it is, I think it's no further action. Or if they've declared this race void, which is what I've been hearing as well, if they declare this race void, which is the only procedure that can be done if they've made a mistake in some of the racing procedures, of a restart procedure, then Max would have won the title anyway. So either way, it looks like Verstappen is definitely the 2021 champion. We'll wait on confirmation for that, but I'm seeing already Red Bull are starting to celebrate, and it looks like they're lining up to do a team photo as well. So it looks like we've got ourselves a decision, and I think we're moments away from that, but it doesn't look like anything major is going to happen. So I think well done for Max. It looks like you've won the title. What goes on from here, that's a different matter. I'll let you get back to your programming now.
We'll definitely be following. And of course, as we mentioned, be sure to subscribe to all our channels. Link in the video description. Like and share with your friends, because we're going to be back all 2022 to do this all over again. 2021 grid ranking, though, is now in the books. It is all complete. It will come back the first Sunday of April. That will be April 3rd of 2022. And you can follow us on our website, gridranking.com, and on Twitter at gridranking. What a year, especially for all our fans that have been tuning in all season long. Thank you, of course. Been a lot of fun to follow the grid ranking. And Adam, coming up to essentially what we all call our favorite game. I encourage everyone tuning in to participate next year in Pick a Winner.
Yep. What a year it's been for Pick a Winner. And we have some people we want to congratulate. First of all, Alex F on Twitter, you're the highest among non-grid ranking members to win this year. So congratulations. And we also want to give a special shout to Kiska, our grid office dog, who correctly picked Max Verstappen to win the 2021 FIA Formula 1 World Champion. Way to go, Kiska, the first K9 to guess right and pick a winner. And also, congratulations to my sidekick, Kobe Lambeth, for winning 2021 Pick a Winner game. Kobe, you have 30 seconds. What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, Adam, I don't have a victory speech prepared, but I was just gonna say I thought it was completely over. I remember telling you after our shows on Grid tonight, multiple Wednesdays, that it's over. We're just gonna hand it to Joe. But as soon as Kyle Larson's season was over, I caught up to Joe, passed him, never looked back. Feels really good to go back to back and pick a winner now. 2-time champion. I'm gonna try to make it 3 in a row in 2022.
And now it's time to wrap up our show with our grid one shining moment from this incredible weekend of motorsports. I'll start with you, Josh. What's your grid
again?
One shining moment from this crazy F1 race we saw at the Aspen Marina circuit in the UAE?
Kimi leaving the circuit for the last time with his daughter on his shoulders and their son walking alongside. The family reunited, and Kimi going into his second phase of his life now as a family man. He says he wants to be there for the kids, and I'll go with that. It's beautiful to see one of the greatest drivers in Formula One go out in a bit of style out there. The second one, apparently Mercedes left a message on Valtteri Bottas' dashboard at the end of his final race for the team. Was it Kinos Valtteri? Nice touch. That is a nice touch, actually. I didn't know that. I know they raced him. They put him in special livery today. That was another one as well. It's been if you take away the rubbish of the championship that we've had after, it's been a nice last day with Giovinazzi leaving, Raikkonen leaving, Russell leaving Williams and going over to Mercedes. It's been a nice one. Overall, though, Jos Verstappen, teary-eyed on the podium. I think that's another good one. But yeah, my one though, personally, Kimi Raikkonen walking out with his family of the paddock for the last time. No fuss, just family reunited. That's beautiful.
You know, I didn't realize it until right before we came on the air here, but I want to give a call to Yuki Tsunoda. I know it's been a tough year for him. Pierre Gasly, his veteran teammate, has certainly been the senior driver at the AlphaTauri team this year. Yuki's even admitted himself, I think he was a little surprised that his 2022 deal got done so early. He was kind of being hard on himself. Of course, he's the youngest driver on the grid, first F1 driver born in the 2000s. So for him to come away today with a P4 finish, I don't know how much more you could have asked of him in terms of trying to build momentum for next season. So it's a shame that such a good moment for him is going to be lost in the craziness of the championship and with his senior team, his cousins over at Red Bull. But I've got to say, certainly nice to see him have a good run to finish out the year. I'm going to make that my one shining moment. And I'll give a call to Carlos Sainz as well. There you go, Amber. Third place. That's wonder what Carlos was thinking on the podium as everything else was going on. But yeah, Ferrari seemed to be clawing their way back just a little bit. Hopefully they can take the fight to Mercedes and Red Bull next year.
For me, my Grid One shining moment was the entire 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you were on the East Coast, you had to wake up right before 8 a.m. Or if you're on the West Coast like Joe, 5 a.m. And I know Joe told me he's glad he's not in Alaska anymore, because that would have been a really early wake up call of 4 a.m. But if you were watching Formula One in Alaska, today's result was definitely worth waking up for, because it was everything we could have asked for. This season-long championship battle, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, a historical battle that we'll be talking about for many years to come. It was so special. So for the rest of today, if we don't have any more stunning news to share from Abu Dhabi, just gonna sit back and savor what we have witnessed this year, because it was something truly spectacular. And this is probably something that we're gonna be telling our kids and our grandkids about in many years to come, because it was such a treat. And I'm sad that it's over, but I'm glad that it happened.
I'm glad it's happened. I am sad that it's over too. It's been an incredible 2021 season. I have to go with Carlos Sainz and Ferrari. Carlos Sainz was behind Leclerc and Lando Norris in the points, and he just overtook both of them to finish fifth in the championship. Amazing effort by Carlos Sainz and the Ferrari team. They are truly looking like they're returning back on form. Tough break for, I think, what we saw with McLaren all year. See, Josh plays his moment was Massey saying to Mercedes, "It's a motor race." I gotta say, this is motorsports. It is the way it goes, and definitely, I think it's one of the big things when it comes to racing. We saw a race that didn't disappoint. The controversy, that's sometimes part of motorsports. The excitement, that's what motorsports is all about. I'm glad what we saw today, rather than just a procession like past Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where we just be talking about a driver dominating from the start to the finish. Instead, wow, what a race.
My Grid One shining moment has to go to the 2021 FIA Formula One World Championship. It's been a championship that I won't forget for a long time to come. I've been watching F1 since I was a little kid. And, I remember the days of Prost and Senna, Mansell, and Gerhard Berger, Gotthard Patrese, Eddie Irvine, Michael Schumacher. This year is a season that I won't forget for a long time. And also, I want to give a special shout out to everyone at Grid Network. It's been a really cool opportunity to work with you guys this year, and all our viewers across that have commented all year long. Amber, Josh Plays, Humperdinck. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It's been one of the greatest, motorsports years of my life, and I look forward to working with everyone next year. And I had so much fun working with you, Josh, on your watch alongs this year. I look forward to doing a lot more of them with you next year and many years to come.
Oh, absolutely. All of you and everyone watching, all of the team here at the Grid Network as well. It's been an absolute pleasure joining you this year and commentating on races together as well, and practice sessions and doing all these shows as well. I mean, look, we're nearly 2 hours in. I have got a little bit of news though. Mercedes have been asked to return to the stewards at 10:30, while Red Bull expect that to be when a decision is delivered. So 15 minutes. So top of the hour, we will know. Sorry, half past the hour. We will know the decision as to who the champion is. Kind of makes me want to stay on the air, but I know everybody's got plans. But if there's anything big, we'll come back anyway. So I'm expecting a no further action as well. But that is it. That's all I got. And just on a personal note, it's been a lot of fun this year, calling all these races as well, and calling the Grid Network after getting our reactions. It's been nice for me to have a more reporter side to my role instead of just doing the normal commentary. It's been nice to be a pundit, and so thank you for that opportunity. And certainly earning me job's worth this evening. So I don't get to say this often, but back to the studio.
Yeah, and now we're going to do our Grid One shining moment from the 2021 year in motorsports history. I'll go first, and I can say for me, it's been.
Can I jump? I know I just put it in, but we've got it. We've got the news.
Josh, go for it.
We have the
Go for
news.
it.
Protest has been dismissed regarding overtake behind the safety car. The stewards determined that although car 33 did at one stage for a very short period of time move slightly in front of car 44 at a time when both cars were accelerating and braking, it moved back behind car 44 and was not in front when the safety car period ended. So no further action. Protest dismissed by the stewards for that first part where the Mercedes tried to get Max Verstappen on whether or not he overtook under the safety car. That's been thrown out. So that's one down, one to go. I expect exactly the same for the other. And we're going to be hearing that shortly, actually, as well. So that's come out. One out of the two done. Max survives the first one. Does he survive the second one, though, which was the overall safety car restart procedure? I've got a feeling he will, because that was not aimed at him. That restart procedure was aimed mainly at Michael Masi and the stewards. Expect that to be thrown out. I'm going to officially say it. Max Verstappen is the 2021 world champion, because that first one was just between Mercedes and the FIA. That second one, the safety car, that was the crucial one. Max has survived it. It looks like he's world champion this year.
Yeah, and thanks so much, Josh, for all of your work this year. You came in, toward the middle of the year, and it's been an honor to work with you, and I look forward to working with you on many years to come. And now we'll do our Grid 1 Shining Moment from the 2021 motorsport season. I'll start and I'll say I just mentioned here for my Grid 1 Shining Moment. The F1 season was one that I won't forget for a long, long time to come. We saw two men battling all season long. It came down to this one race and two drivers, Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes, Max Verstappen of Red Bull. Yeah, I know I'm the Repco Supercars expert here on the show. I could have mentioned Shane Van Gisbergen's complete domination, but for me, the F1 season is one I won't forget for a long, long time to come. And I'll throw it out. Next, I'll throw it over to you, Ben. What's your Grid 1 shining moment from the entire 2021 motorsports season?
Well, if you forgive me, I've got another one just for today. I didn't realize the Sixers fan of me is coming out, but Joel Embiid is a pretty big F1 fan now. He's reacting to Verstappen winning the championship. So it's cool to see how much the sport has grown here in America, and the NBA even crossing over a little bit. Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Bosh attending the U.S. Grand Prix. So maybe there's an opportunity for some cross promotion there with Joel Embiid as well if he's picked this up. It's so tough to pick just one moment from this season. Adam, I could go with you and just say the entire F1 season. It has felt like a movie. Every time I think that the season can't be topped, something, a new twist or a new turn happened, and we were just blown away by what we saw. I feel like there's been more drama this year than maybe the first 6 years combined that I started watching in 2015. And it feels weird, actually. It hasn't sunk in that we're talking about a Red Bull driver as the world champion. It felt like it's been like being a Yankees fan in the 50s or a Celtics fan in the 60s. You just expect them to win the championship every year. They've been so dominant. It's been such a dynasty, and yet here we are talking about Max Verstappen as the world champion in a car other than a Mercedes AMG Petronas Formula One car. So the season has been phenomenal. I hope a movie gets made out of it. I don't know what Netflix are going to do with these last couple of races. They might as well just show the races unedited with how much drama we've had. They've got to be going crazy over there as well. But if I had to pick just one moment, it's hard to overlook Elio Castroneves. And first of all, let me certainly want to send my thoughts, prayers, best wishes, condolences, all of those to the Unser family. It's been a very tough year for them, losing Al Sr. this weekend as well. I'm so glad that photo got taken in July because the moment that Elio got to have in May when he won his fourth Indianapolis 500 and equaled AJ Foyt, Al Unser, and Rick Mears was nothing short of incredible. I'm so glad he got to do it this year, not in 2020 when the stands were empty. That has to be my one shining moment for this season. And then the fact that IMS was able to coordinate that, get all the four-time winners together for a reunion photo. Very, very special moment at IMS this year. So that, to me, even though I could pick any number of moments from any number of different series that we cover on this program, that has to be my one shining moment of the year. I'll give it to Elio Castroneves. And the drive for 5 is very much alive. We'll see if he can achieve that next season.
When it comes to one shine moment for the entire year, I'm with you, Ben. It is just sort of a struggle. We've had so many high points throughout the years. As you mentioned, with the Unsurfounded experiencing loss, we had some low points as well, especially in the motorcycle industry where we had drivers unfortunately pass away while racing. And of course, we do think of everyone in motorsports that week in and week out, they get in their vehicles and there's always that risk. And we're just so thankful for the safety advancement throughout all of motorsports. At the end of the day, when it comes to my shining moment for all of 2021, I have to say Formula One season as a whole. From preseason when we thought, okay, it looks like Red Bull is going to be the fastest car, is Mercedes sandbagging, but then we weren't sure. Then those first 2 races, and all of a sudden, okay, it's not just all going to be Mercedes. Then we get to Imola, Hamilton forced over the curbs. And it just seemed every race has just really delivered, including races we traditionally feel don't deliver. Spain, Hungary, all those races that a lot of people think, oh, these are snooze fest races, we're not going to watch. Sochi, Russia, for example, they've delivered. Every race delivered. That is very hard for any series. I mean, where you look at IndyCar, NASCAR, there's usually a race that is a bit of a procession, where it's too predictable. I felt with Formula One this year, we really didn't have that. And I gotta say, Monza was definitely a big point where I felt it was the most unpredictable race, along with Baku, where we saw a late tire issue for Max, and the magic was left on for Lewis, caused him to go wide. Michael Tiller, I think my shining moment for the season was when Vettel seemed to have finished second for Aston Martin prior to his DQ, but overall the season was outstanding. I especially enjoyed Hamilton managing to come back to Imola. That was a moment that surprised me thoroughly. I enjoyed it. Definitely have to agree, and of course, one of the big things I do want to give a shout out to Vettel, Hamilton, even Mick Schumacher, using their platform of bringing awareness to social injustice, and I'm glad that we're seeing that more in motorsports.
And Ben actually took my one shot moment for the year, the 2021 Indianapolis 500. What a race that was! And as Lee Diffie said, Spider-Man's back at the speedway. Boy, he did it in spectacular style. Old Elio Castroneves, the Silver Fox, it was just such an amazing race in general. Like he said, Ben, I do believe since it'll be running full time next year, Meyer Shank racing a drive for 5 is definitely still alive, and it'll be quite a remarkable feat if Elio Castroneves is able to win 5 Indianapolis 500 crowns. That would be absolutely remarkable. And as you were alluding to, we lost Al Unser Sr. earlier this week, and the photo they took together, the four-time champions Castroneves, AJ Foyt, Rick Mears, and Al Unser Sr. I'm really glad they took that photo when they did, so we could see the 4-time winners all together at the Brickyard. And the reason why the 2021 Indianapolis 500 was my favorite moment of the year was it was just all of the emotions tied into that event, because I was literally shaking in the closing laps, because I'm like, are we really going to see history? And we got the photo right there on the screen that I was talking to. It was just the fact that for Elio Castroneves' first three wins in the Indy 500. I wasn't around to see those, but I've seen highlights on YouTube. But to see Elio get number 4 and go in the history books, that was just amazing. And then the post race scenes, wow, the emotions, the atmosphere, it was electric. It was one of the most beautiful moments I've ever seen in motorsports. And plus, at the time, I believe Indianapolis 500 was the largest audience at a sporting event when it looked like we were emerging from the coronavirus pandemic, and it was just wonderful to see all of the fans screaming there, and then Elio climbing the fence and see him running down the front stretch of the Brickyard, and drivers are congratulating him. it was such an emotional, beautiful day for motorsports, and that's why the 2021 Indianapolis 500 is my great one shining moment of the year. And Amber Bubba Wallace's victory at Talladega for you, yeah, that was definitely a historic victory for Bubba Wallace, and a lot of people really don't understand how massive that was for NASCAR and diversity every everywhere. And Michael Tiller has a comment as well, said that you also wish to tip your hat to Nikita Mazepin for his awareness for cerebral palsy this season. And you remember when he promoted the charity for that? He doubled whatever was donated. As a disability advocate yourself, you respect him for doing that, and you hope and pray that Mazepin feels better from COVID really soon. Yeah, we definitely wish Nikita Mazepin a speedy recovery. It was really encouraging to hear that he was asymptomatic and not experiencing any symptoms. So hopefully he'll test negative for COVID soon, and he'll be able to resume his life and prepare for what I'm sure he hopes is going to be a much better, much improved sophomore season in Formula One.
Oh, sorry, guys. I've got several things going on in my ear. I've got David Coulthard at the moment talking. Lee McKenzie. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. That's because everything's running on the same software. Lee McKenzie standing outside of the Red Bull garage waiting for a big cheer. That's the Channel 4 F1 reporter. I'm still waiting on news as well. They can take this to the International Court of Appeal, though, of course, if Red Bull have got this title. And I can turn that down for a second because they've gone off air. So that makes me think a bit better. So if Mercedes lose this appeal, they can go to the Court of Arbitration, as we said. But it looks very unlikely they're going to do that because they'll have to get it sorted before Thursday. So that's a lot of work to get done. So while we wait on news for that, which we're expecting now, so while I'm probably talking, all hell will break loose. Okay, one shining moment for the whole year then. That's a tricky one. Commentating on a lot this year, seeing a lot of great stuff. I think it will have to be Brad Binder winning the Styrian Grand Prix in mixed conditions as well. The rain came down the last lap. He stayed out there on the dry tyres and had an absolutely fantastic run. 3 laps he did with rain bucketing it down. He kept on that track. He found that ideal margin between the lines as well. A 2-wheel motorcycle on dry tires on a wet circuit. I thought he was going to crash, but no, he has absolutely fantastic opportunity there. So that's my one shining moment of the season. In terms of other moments that we've had this year, because if you can't tell, we're feeling a little bit before we get this decision. Other moments, as you say, the Bubba Wallace victory in NASCAR, that was fantastic. It made me emotional watching it. Helio Castroneves winning the 500. Finally, the number 7 Toyota getting its moment in the sun and winning at Le Mans, the first ever hypercar as well. Have we got FIA news? Joe's putting FIA news out, and I'm not seeing anything, and it's worrying me now. That's happened. That's Verstappen cleared there as well. FIA, however, have tweeted that, so it all looks okay. So I'm literally jumping around everything at the moment, waiting on one little message that we're waiting for. Joe, what did you say about the FIA news?
We're just getting reports that there is some FIA news, and of course, for all our viewers tuning in, we are following all the news going on when it comes to the FIA. Of course, it's just been documented throughout the show, which was started 90 minutes, a little over 90 minutes after the final race, the checker flag. But yeah, we started seeing some news, so definitely will allow Josh the opportunity to try to find out more news. And of course, we encourage everyone to subscribe and like to the Grid Network. If you're tuning in, this might be the end of 2021. Be with us at the beginning of 2022. Overall, this process for those new to Formula One, we know there's a lot of new fans to Formula One. There are a lot of appeal options, including the FIA, the Council, Court of Appeals, and all that. So we'll definitely be following all the news. Now, one of the big things, of course, Formula One General Championship came down to the last race, the last lap. Adam, I have to start with you. When it comes to a season finale getting this good, can you recall any series that had anything? And Josh, do you have an update, or are you still waiting news?
Still waiting. That update was the republication of the Mercedes protest against Verstappen. So no news just yet, but it's coming through because they keep delaying it because Mercedes apparently, from what I'm hearing on the ground as well, have had phone calls with journalists at the circuit as well. They're all going crazy out there as well because one side of the media pen say that Michael Masi deserves to be fired. The other side is saying that it was a fair restart. We've got Red Bull who are half cheering, half not. There was a massive cheer that erupted from Red Bull's motorhome, or the pen as well, when it was announced that Verstappen was not going to be penalised for overtaking Hamilton to the safety car. But right now as well, all eyes are on that Mercedes are still in with their QC, the barrister. They're still in with the stewards, trying to say something as well. If the stewards have made their decision, you may as well go up to this brick wall that's behind me in the commentary box and start shouting at it. You're not going to get through to them. Channel 4 are back on. If they've got anything, I'll hear it here first. But I've got literally every screen in this commentary box is occupied right now. I think that's all I've got for now. I'll be back soon.
We'll be back soon. Adam, back to that question. Can you recall an exciting season finale like this?
No, I can't recall. If you want to say 1990 F1 Suzuka Japan, Alan Prost versus Ayrton Senna, they both crashed in turn one. Kind of reminds me of this. Lewis and Max didn't crash, but that's what I think of. When it comes to the last lap, takes me back to 1990 Suzuka Japan easily. Joe, you're muted.
No, I think you're muted there.
2 hours later, that's all right.
Yeah, you're muted.
First time in 2 hours, I'm muted on the air. Apologies to everyone, but we want to thank everyone.
I did it early in the show.
2 hours.
We're not used to it.
It's a new record.
Yeah.
We just want to thank everybody. We're still following any development. Josh is on the case. I know Kobe, Ben, myself, we're all following it. So definitely, this has been an exciting show. And one of the big things, Ben, I know you mentioned you started getting into motorsports, especially after the movie Cars. When you saw the movie Cars and the exciting ending race, has that excitement of motorsports really carried through, or is just more you learning more motorsports that have really got you more engaged?
Well, I started out as a big NASCAR fan because that was most directly the series that was based off of Cars. But I actually just saw a tweet from a friend of mine, Spencer Gogol, on Twitter here, who says Lewis and Max should just have a tiebreaker race in California in 1 week's time. I guess that's a reference to the first Cars
baby.
Movie. Yeah. Well, so I guess book your tickets now. Maybe they should do it at the Coliseum too. That could be like a preview for the Slash.
It's called
2030 has been 20. Hang on, I'm retweeting. It's 2020. 10:30 has become 10:45. I can't do military time at the moment, so another 5 minutes for a return to the stewards. After the first protest is dismissed, what has come down to whether the title was influenced by a race control error. So it's literally now down to Michael Masi, who I think for the first time in history is in front of the stewards. When have you ever seen a race director called up in front of the stewards before? What penalty could they give him? Are they gonna can they black flag him for a race? I mean, this is unprecedented. It's another amazing turn in this championship, but we are moments away. And welcome everybody to basically what I did at Spa. Phil.
Yeah, I remember that, Josh. I remember.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe, I forgot. I guess you were asking me about the Cars movie, but I guess to kind of bounce off of the question, can you remember a title fight like this? I'm just trying to think back because, like I said, it took me a little bit longer to get into Formula One. It's probably my biggest regret as a race fan, missing out on the whole 2012 season, Michael's last year, 7 winners and 7 races, and the thrilling battles of 07 and 08 when it was decided by 1 point. I guess maybe that would be my answer. And again, I'm just going off of that based on looking back at highlights and not actually being a fan in the moment. The only thing that even closely compares is the last time the championship went down to the wire, which was 2016. And even then, I guess you had a little bit of controversy with Lewis backing Nico up. into the pack. But obviously that was within the team. It's completely different to what we're going through right now with a protest between two different teams and a race director whose job may very well be in question after today with the controversial decisions that he's made the last few weeks. That's really been the one downer to this season, I guess, is that, as thrilling as it's been, as close as the championship battle and rivalry have been all year, that we've had so many of these decisions and issues with race control that have been I don't know. It just kind of puts a little bit of a damper on everything, especially right now that we should be celebrating Max Verstappen and the wonderful season he had, and yet we're all still waiting for a decision to come from a bunch of people in suits after the race, and that's not how. It was ironic. I just saw Vincent Bruins brought up the tweet, I guess, after Hamilton was disqualified from the qualifying session, and Mercedes said, "We want to win these world championships on track." Look at where we are now and what they're doing to try to get this result overturned or taken back to the previous lap or whatever the case may be. So it's I don't know. It's been, you've had a little bit of everything this season. So I guess to draw it all back, I can't remember a season like this. I don't know. I think it's going to be a long time before we get a season like this ever again.
Yeah, they've literally now been told that both Red Bull and Mercedes are going into the stewards. Red Bull are going in now at 40 minutes past the hour. Mercedes are going in at 45 minutes past the hour. So this sounds like, to me, if they're only in there for 5 minutes apiece, this is going to be telling them decisions. So we are moments away as to what this is as well. Nobody wanted it to come here as well, all by Mercedes. I agree with what you say there, Ben, because they said they wanted it settled off the track, yet they came here with a barrister. What does that tell you about Mercedes as well? It seems like the respect, by the way, has plummeted to Mercedes. And I checked their stock exchange as well. It's falling. It is falling. I know we keep across to that here, but it's falling. I can't believe this as well. If I was Red Bull right now, I'd get a 2-for-1 deal on down at the local spa shop.
A lot going on. We got a lot of comments in the chat room, starting with Michael. I myself cannot remember the excitement and this intensity. Max Verstappen crossing the line, win the race and the title. The words of the late Maury Walker, "I gotta stop because I have a lump in my throat." Incredible. Justin Peters, Mercedes loses this time and showed they are the sorest loser. And then Mauricio Fabian, I don't understand why Red Bull must go to the stewards. We encourage everyone to share your opinions and questions with us on the air, and we thank everyone to continue. We normally are not 2 hours and 9 minutes long into a program, but we are breaking any news that we hear from the stewards, as that is just momentary. Now, Josh, is there something or?
No, but we're not the only ones breaking records tonight. Sky Sports F1, which is the UK dedicated channel, they've gone off air. Channel 4, who are only allowed to produce live coverage of the British Grand Prix and then highlights of every race, they got special permission today to be live, and they are still live. A terrestrial TV channel is live with F1 breaking news, while Sky Sports F1 is not. This is a big day for free-to-air television of Formula One, and I think we are breaking records here on YouTube right now, 2 hours, 9 minutes. All I can tell you at this time is that there is now a lot of... I know, because you're not getting these pictures. It really frustrates me. I'm so sorry you're not getting these pictures, but I'm seeing Channel 4 outside of Red Bull's motorhome, and I am seeing a lot of people starting to gather around Red Bull as well. The anticipation is there. The feeling is there. They know that decision is going to come in a few moments. Still nothing on Lewis Hamilton. He has not been seen, but he is still at the circuit. He's yet to sit down with the written media as well. And at the moment, we've got nothing. But we must also note as well, I did say in the commentary, for those of you who are watching, was that the FIA timing monitors went down. All the media have now left Red Bull, have gone down to the stewards. So something's going on. This might be breaking here. I'm trying to listen to Lee McKenzie.
Now,
Lee's not there. Okay, so I'll have to get back to you because something big's happening. 2 seconds, everybody. Let me hear.
Now,
Phil, guys.
As that's going on, we do want to, for everyone join us, welcome to Grid Life Wrap-Up. We will be breaking any news for those that just joined or new to Formula One. After the checker flag went out, it has been brought up to the stewards 2 protests from Mercedes. The first one about Max Verstappen overtaking Lewis Hamilton during the last safety car. That has been thrown out, but there was a second one about what the results called standings. Did the race end in the last lap, or did it end when Latifi crashed and Hamilton led?
Okay, just going to interrupt you there, sorry, because Jonathan Wheatley, Adrian Newey, and Christian Horner are going in now at the same time as Mercedes. So that's Toto Wolff, I think, going in as well, and Ron Meadows and Andrew Shovlin, I think, are the three going in there. They are going in together. Red Bull have literally just gone into their area now. And Damon Hill's getting in the way of our cameras here. And there goes Mercedes. It's the CQ going in with Andrew Shovlin and Ron Meadows and the barrister. So Toto's not gone in. It is the barrister, Ron Meadows and Andrew Shovlin from Mercedes, and at Red Bull it's Adrian Newey, Christian Horner and Jonathan Wheatley. They are the ones who've gone in. They've gone in now both together. We're expecting the decision shortly, and I may be in the UK here, but I'm feeling like Lee McKenzie right now, standing outside there. You're looking around, darting to see who's going in where, and I think in a couple of moments' time, Michael Masi is going to light a fire and blow smoke up the chimney, and if it's black, we've got ourselves a new world champion, guys.
A new world champion. Kobe, you've been following motorsports for a long time, as well as other professional sports. Have you ever seen anything like this? Well, long after the race or the game has ended, we're still in dispute about who won.
Yes, at the Snowball Derby with Ricky Brooks and Tech in the Room of Doom. It's actually nothing new if you're a follower of super late model racing here in the United States. Yeah, so this is actually nothing new for the Snowball Derby itself. Although I do have a lot of respect for the event, but it's always so frustrating when at the super late model race when the winner they have to like do special teardowns and look through this and that, and then it's hours later when the sun goes down, you're finally figuring out who won the race. Is the person you saw take the checker flag the winner, or did they disqualify and the person in second win the race? So something like this is nothing new for the Snowball Derby, but for Formula One, this is definitely new territory because this is supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport. We shouldn't be doing something like this at this level of motorsport. And is, in my opinion, this is really disappointing to see this happening.
If I could just bounce off of that, I've just remembered, I did that video on Panther Racing a couple of months ago, and Dan Weldon's win in the 2011 Indianapolis 500. And I vaguely remember, obviously I was a lot younger at the time, not following on social media or anything, but people were mentioning in like comments of YouTube videos and things like that, saying, well, there's an argument, maybe you give Hildebrand the checkered flag because when he hits the wall, the caution comes out. Did Weldon pass Hildebrand under caution? And would that make that an illegal pass and give the victory back to Jared Hildebrand? Of course, people went back and looked at the video, and the caution actually didn't come out until Weldon was ahead. And even if it had come out before that, I think you can make the argument that Hildebrand's car was wounded and not able to maintain a reasonable pace, and that's why Weldon would have been able to keep the victory anyway. But that's the only thing that's come to my mind in terms of a series with this much following internationally and prestige. Never seen anything like it, and certainly hoping that we get a decision soon here. We're coming up on 2.25 hours here on this live stream, so it's pretty unprecedented what we're going through right now.
Very unprecedented. It looks like Josh was on the phone working with his sources. Adam, you and I, we remember 1990, but one of the things I think a lot of people forget about 1989, after the collision between Senna and Prost, Senna continued on, and was after the race, the FIA, it skips my mind to name the head person, was before Bernie Ecclestone disqualified Ayrton Senna. What do you recall of that day when that all went down?
What I recall is, I vaguely remember it, and I want to say thanks, Justin, for the comment. We appreciate it, and also a special shout out to our colleague Matt White. He said great coverage on Twitter, so thank you, Matt. I vaguely remember that, but I can, it was real big what happened back in the day, and I think we're seeing it now. It's only just it's it's incredible what we've seen this year in Formula One, and it's sad that it came down to this final decision, involving stewards and everything else. But what a year it's been in Formula One, and I'm ready for 2022.
I think we're all ready for 2022. Joshua, is there an update?
There is. It's nothing yet, but from what I've just been on the phone with somebody who's standing outside of the media room as well, one of the written press for Formula One, and they say as well that they can see into the stewards' room, and right now they're all just sat round one big table. You've got the FIA on one side and both the teams on the other side, and they're sort of separated with each other as well. Christian Horner's the closest to the window, and he's doing a lot of this gesturing as well. A lot of moving his hand, a lot of what he usually does as well. But he's probably talking through something. Now, this is what I was just discussing with them as well, is the fact is that why has Red Bull been called to the stewards for this protest? This is the key thing that everyone's now asking. Why has Red Bull gone in for an appeal that was about the FIA's procedure of the race? The only thing I can think of is that the stewards bizarrely could have sided with Mercedes and they're taking the results back, which means that Hamilton might be the title. I don't know, but it's very unusual that Red Bull have gone in for not their driver and not their investigation. It's a bit like Ferrari turning up to this event. It doesn't make sense. So we're moments away now. We should have had it a couple of minutes ago, but we are seconds, honestly. As soon as they leave that room, it was supposed to be a 5-minute chat, but like this program, we should have been over about an hour and 17 minutes ago. It's getting close. Sorry, I'm not doing much, and you guys are feeling wonderfully, but I am literally on it.
This is live television, well, live stream, but still, for all our viewers, of course, we all want to know what's going to happen with the Formula One World Championship. I know some people have been asking, where can I see this live? I know in the United States, I believe ESPN has gone off the air. Channel 4, Sky Sports, if you're in the United Kingdom, but definitely, of course, right here in
Sky News. Sky News on the YouTube, it's got an international feed. They're carrying it too. So Sky News have got Craig Slater. They're carrying some things too live. So that's a place to go because they've got an international feed.
And of course, right here on the Grid Network too, be sure to subscribe and definitely show your appreciation for Ben and Josh in the video description. Links to their channels. They provide great content all year, and we want to thank everyone for subscribing. We're up to 291 subscribers. Be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network to not miss anything. Now, this comment from another F1 scandal in the making, it would be the biggest scandal ever. I'm thinking they're referring to if there was some sort of decision. 1994, that was another very controversial year. We saw Michael Schumacher, Damon Hill battle for that championship. This one is still not over yet, but the race has been over for nearly a couple hours already. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. We're more than happy to provide this coverage as we're on the air. Ben,
it's sort of developed around us, hasn't it? So it's developed around us that we were doing our own show, and then this story just sort of hugged us, and we're caught in a bear trap.
Joe, if I could just say, I've pulled up the YouTube feed on my phone here, and it looks like there's 17 people watching. I believe I'm at 983 subscribers on my channel at the moment. Do the math. If everybody watching this feed right now subscribes to my channel, we hit 1,000 on the dot. So maybe go do. I hate to self-promote here, but I know we're trying to fill time with anything there. So it's just I'm a numbers and analytics guy. The numbers just added up perfectly to me in my head there. I thought I'd mention that.
And everybody do it if you're not already, because it's a great channel. I love the content.
Yeah, and subscribe to Josh as well. I can't believe I have more subscribers than you, Josh. I've got to admit, because your content.
Oh, you've been doing it longer.
Well, that's true. I suppose something's got to be said for that. So I had one video that kind of hit the algorithm right and took off there, gained a bunch of subscribers from that. So sometimes you just have to get lucky with how the algorithm picks up your videos. But yeah, sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think you were going to ask me a question.
No worries, a lot going on. A couple comments.
Ben Schneider, just type my name into the YouTube search bar, and I think Joe might have a link in the description here as well.
Yeah,
Link in the
links in
video
the
description.
description.
Yeah.
I've got news. They've left the stewards. They've left the stewards. Here we go. We're going to get it. They're walking down. Christian Horner, Jonathan Whitley, Major Newey. They're walking down the paddock. They look to be okay. From what I've seen as well, but we are seconds away. Why are only 20 people in the stream? There's way more. That might be just the one you're on. We are broadcasting on multiple platforms as well, so we won't know the true number until the end of it. But either way, we're fantastic. Whether it's one person watching or 1,000, we love bringing you Formula One. So they have left the stewards. They have now. It's all been decided. So we are literally just waiting to see what it's going to be, and the tension is about as big as what it was when the 5 lights went out this morning. Are we going to get something controversial, or are we going to get a whimper, which is no further action? Personally, I think we're all on the same side here. I'd like the whimper. I want the championship to be crowned 4 or 5 hours ago.
I would have to agree. Definitely, this is just something we've been following. This sort of reminds me of like the only thing I could really think of was like the 2000 election. Bush, Gore. Usually it's decided that night. It went longer. And let's hope it does not go to the FIA courts.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. Now, one of the
although,
big things...
sorry, Joe, if it does, I'll be in Paris around about the same time. So we can live there.
Live from the FIA headquarters. That'll be a first for all of us. And definitely, if you want to see that, subscribe to our channels. Now, one thing I got to talk about, we got to talk a little bit. It's been highly not talked about all day. Carlos Sainz from 7th to 5th in one race in the championship. Ben, starting with you. Can Carlos Sainz, he scored the most points without a win. Can he win a race in 2022?
Yeah, wow. I knew he finished on the podium. I didn't realize he got into the top 5 in points. Yeah, absolutely, he can win a race if things had gone slightly differently. You know, I mean, I think he was second in Monaco this year, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure, and Monza last year to Pierre Gasly. So if that race had gone on 1 or 2 more laps, I think he might have been able to catch Pierre in the AlphaTauri in that race. So he could have a couple of wins already. And I think I actually saw something this week. I think he now holds the record, and obviously the points have been inflated since he came into the sport. But I think he has the record now for most points scored without a Grand Prix victory. So, you know, when you're driving for a team like Ferrari, you know, if he's set up long-term there, a team like that, I think it's only a matter of time before he gets a win or two. Like we talked about on the show today with the regulation changes coming in, you know, there's a very good chance that Ferrari could close the gap even a little bit more. Obviously, last year was a horrendous season by their standards. It's still crazy to think about them being in the bottom half of the constructor standings, but that's where they were last year. To come back this year and be kind of the best of the rest after Mercedes and Red Bull. That's a pretty good comeback for them this year. Maybe they can build on that, and Carlos Sainz can compete for a win. And you know, Leclerc is going to be right up there as well. I think people have forgotten with how bad Ferrari have been by their standards, just how talented Charles Leclerc is, and he's a Grand Prix winner. I think he could be a world champion one day, but Ferrari have to give him a car capable of doing it.
Merck have just left, and Jenny Gao has messaged saying no comment. So they declined comment. And if that's the case, then it looks like it might not have gone their way. So they're out now. Red Bull left a while ago. Mercedes have just left as well. We're going to get ready here. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Kobe hasn't had his breakfast. I haven't had my tea or dinner, wherever you are.
I haven't had lunch.
You haven't had lunch. I ran out of drink after the race. It's literally
I'll
on
have something for
empty.
you, Josh.
Yeah, I got a bottle.
I think that cup of coffee, or that one of our sponsors operate could come in handy incredibly soon. But we are moments away as well. Maybe we should tag that actually with our sponsors quick, if you want to take that, Joe.
Definitely, I was going to say, for all our viewers, you could buy coffee or their favorite tea, soda, whatever, for your favorite on-air personality. So definitely link in the video description as we continue to wait for the decision from the FIA. This has just been an amazing season, drama all season long. And I guess we could now say drama in the postseason. Ben, to you.
I want to thank Josh. I'm sure he's still watching this here, but I just got a notification that he subscribed to my channel. I guess his subscriptions are set to public here. So, Josh, thank you for that. I truly appreciate it.
And with that said, Kobe, I know you're in the East Coast. When it comes to any event like this, where the races or the game has been done and we're waiting, what do you call as the record? I know you talked about the snowball derby. That took a while and then was determined after. Do you remember how long that took you?
Oh well. I mean, for the most part, the snowball derby post race takes several hours to get done. And I know this past Sunday when we had the snowball derby, it took a few hours, not too terribly long, but I remember the image from Matt Weaver from Racing America showing a photo of Chandler Smith who won the race. I believe he was eating something from Whataburger, and it was dark out, and they're just sitting there like in a lawn. They're like sitting there in a lawn chair, just waiting patiently, and it is frustrating, and I know that a lot of people are divided on Ricky Brooks and his system. Some drivers really like it because it's not like you follow the rules, then you don't have any issues. While others believe, and we have an update from
Yep.
Josh.
Red Bull have made a comment saying that the protest has not been upheld. So it looks like that is what Red Bull have been saying. They've spoken to the media, just come out, and Channel 4 just went off air as well. So that was bitterly disappointing. But Red Bull have said that the protest has not been upheld. So if that is official, Max is the champion. So we are waiting. And FIA deleted the tweet, Joe, you've said, which was that the Verstappen champion tweet?
That is what several people have been showing and indicating. So we are following this, of course, for everyone joining us as more reviewers tune in. Grid Life Wrap Up. We started on the air 2 hours and 27 minutes ago, but we are following the developments from the FIA stewards. Comment from Michael. Just throw it out there. My own YouTube channel is the gaming channel. So definitely, we encourage everyone to be sure to subscribe. But we are just awaiting the decision, which should be minutes away. And of course, this is all stemming from what happened with that final restart. Nicholas Latifi, big crash, brought out the safety car. One of the key moments, Lewis Hamilton did not make a pit stop for fresh tires, despite having an over 11-second lead. Max Verstappen came in, fresh soft tires, a one-lap shootout, but the big controversy seems to be 2 points. First, we had the ruling that no lap cars were going to get around. There was about 5 cars between Lewis and Max. They got around, but the other lap cars did not. And at the same time, the safety car was ending, setting up a one-lap shootout. Lewis Hamilton on those older tires was just going to be in trouble. The second one, and it seems this has already been thrown out, was Max Verstappen getting side-by-side with Lewis behind the safety car. At one point, a small lead, but he gave the position back, and from what we've been understanding, that decision, no change on anything. So it comes down to when the race is classified. Was it when Latifi crashed and Lewis was the leader, or when the checker flag came out and Verstappen was the leader? Now we know Formula One does not have an overtime rule. The only motorsport series that does is NASCAR. And we've seen the FIA use the red flag before. Starting with you, Adam, were you surprised the FIA did not call a red flag as soon as we saw Latifi's crash?
Yep, and I'll give a special shout out to Michael Tiller as well. I've been following his gaming YouTube channel for a long time. He's really cool, and he wants to know what our YouTube channel is. I believe it's all one word, Grid Network. Is that right, Joe? Thank you. So it's called, I believe they should have. I believe they should have stopped the race, and then maybe we wouldn't be having this controversy right now. So I want to thank Michael.
2 seconds, guys. Sorry.
All right, Josh, go for it, my friend.
This is from Mercedes. This is from right now. Christian Horner is talking with Sky Sports. It's not going well. because their picture's breaking up with their transmission. But from what I've understood is that they're very proud of him. Official protest not upheld. Max Verstappen is the 2021 Formula 1 World Champion. It has been made official, and that has now thrown it all up in the air as to whether or not this will go to the Court of Arbitration. But this is it. It's been official. It has been declined. We're waiting to see what it officially says, but all that it's been made official. It's all been going around now. The word is out. Protest not upheld. The race result stands, and Max Verstappen is the 2021 champion. Your reaction, please, guys.
Wow, it took them long enough to do this, but congratulations to Max Verstappen and everyone at Red Bull for the 2021 season. I know him and his father, former F1 champion Jos, his father, former F1 driver Jos Verstappen, are probably pretty happy right now. And like you said, Michael, wow, yeah, go Max. It took him long enough, but congratulations to Michael Tiller. I mean, congratulations to Max Verstappen for winning the 2021 F1 World Championship. We deserved it, and bring on 2022. I think.
Yeah, I think Hamilton and Mercedes fans still have every right to be upset over what happened, but at the same time, it's very difficult to see how they could have overturned this result, because like we've been saying here, it's not Red Bull's fault that race control made a complete fool of themselves and just happened to benefit them, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate that they couldn't both be world champions. I mean, they both had such phenomenal years, and Lewis totally would have deserved it just as much as Max does. And I've got to say, I did think of the first ever Daytona 500, the 1959 race. It took, I think, 3 days to declare Lee Petty the winner of that race. So we didn't have to go quite that long for this one here. But yeah, I'm glad that at least for now, and who knows if this will go to the courts or not, but we can rest easy that the decision's been made.
Do you want me to take you through it, guys? Because I've got it. This could take a while, so I'm just getting it up in a bigger screen so I can read it. So apologies, I'm not looking directly at you. I'm looking at one of the 4 monitors up here. So. Mark 2 coming up here. Is it? Mark 2 coming up here. My mic's died. It seems that's as much as it can do. I wonder if it's a lead problem. Sorry about that. I'll have to use Megan's. Okay, so here's the steward's decision and the protest in full. Protest filed by Mercedes AMG, the protest F1 team, against the classification established at the end of the competition. The protest is dismissed. The race director was present for the hearing, so Michael Masi was there. At the hearing, there was no objections against the composition of the stewards panel. The panel sets out all arguments and addressed the questions asked by the stewards. At the hearing, parties referred to documents submitted. Red Bull is submitted graphical information as well. And this is what Mercedes claimed. Mercedes claimed that there were 2 breaches of the sporting regulations, Article 48 and 12 as well. Namely, that which states any car that has been lapped by the leader will be required to pass the cars on the lead lap and the safety car. And once the last lap car had pitted, the safety car will return to the pits on the following lap. Mercedes argued that this has not been complied fully, but it was by Lewis Hamilton who won the race. They therefore requested the stewards to amend the classification under Article 11.9.3 of the FIA International Sporting Code. Red Bull's defense was that any does not mean all. Article 48.13 of the sporting regulations state that when the safety car is in this lap, the signal will enter the pit lane at the end of that lap, not the next lap. And therefore, Article 18.13 overrides the previous one, 48.12. And they've also said Article 15.3 gives the race director overriding authority over the use of the safety car. And also, the 5th and final point was that even if all cars had been lapped, 8 in total, of which 5 were allowed to overtake the safety car, it would not have changed the outcome of the race. Okay. Race director's evidence. So this is what Michael Masi has said. The race director stated that the purpose of Article 48.12 was to remove those lapped cars that would interfere in the racing between the leaders. And that is his view. Article 48.13 was one of that applied in this case. The race director also stated that it had long been agreed by the teams that where possible, it was highly desirable that the race end in a green condition, not under a safety car. The conclusion of the stewards is that the stewards consider this protest is inadmissible. Having considered the various statements made by the parties, the stewards determined the following: that Article 15.3 allows the race director to control the use of the safety car, which in determined includes the deployment and withdrawal, and that although Article 48.12 may not have been fully applied in relation to the safety car message returning to the pits on the following lap, Article 48.13 overrides it. So basically, they've said that that's notwithstanding Mercedes' request to the stewards that they redo the classifications to reflect the positions at the end of the penultimate lap as well. And the stewards believe it's effectively shortening the race retrospectively and hence not applicable. So the protest is dismissed and not refunded. Okay, so and of course that the protest deposit that Mercedes have to pay has been kept by the stewards. So they've bought them a nice dinner this time as well. I'll try and see what's wrong with mic number 1. I think that. I hope it's not the lead that's damaged.
And Josh,
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's the lead.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me, Josh?
I can't. Yeah. It's the lead's damaged.
Okay. Well, Josh, if you can hear me, I have a question. I said so we've been going all around the bush for so many hours, going in a circle around the bush, and this is the decision that's been made, and as we expected. So is it officially for like all of our viewers who have come in later on? I know you touched on this earlier, but is this situation officially over, or could Mercedes still try to fight it out in Paris, as you were saying earlier?
Josh.
It looks
either
like
you're muted or the mic is off.
Yeah.
Sorry, at least you didn't hear me cough. From what I've understood then by the stewards, they've been extreme. I forgot I'm on number 2 now, not number 1. From what I've read on that, they've gone through and been extremely thorough in terms of, this is probably why it's taken so long. They've had to argue each rule. So basically what they've done here is that they've backed up that Michael Masi can use the safety car as he sees fits under the next article in the rules. So on that, if it's been thrown out by the stewards and reading those rules and having read those rules as a nice winter pastime, I do, before the season starts, Mercedes don't have a leg to stand on. Absolutely. This will not go to Paris. If it did go to Paris, it will cost Mercedes a fortune as well. Many millions of pounds that they just don't have the budget for. So I think they're going to have to accept it. They're the constructors champions. They can live with that. They've lost the drivers in, yes, a questionable way, but that's the way the cookie crumbles in many respects as well. Max Verstappen is officially the 2021 world champion. Mercedes won't take this to Paris. If they do, they'll be looked on very harshly and may get a bigger penalty for themselves if they try and bring the sport into disrepute. I think we can now go to bed knowing that Max is the world champion. There'll be no comeback from this.
Yeah, and it's been confirmed from Formula One on Twitter that the FIA stewards have dismissed Mercedes' protests against the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Final clarification, that's from the FIA on Twitter. So it's now official as we're going to get.
Yes, that's as official as it's going to get. And I totally agree with Josh. Mercedes probably doesn't want to go a step further because I'm sure they have a lot of money to spend, obviously, if they want to go down that route. But it really does nobody any good because it's not going to work out anyways. And if they just keep doing it, they've already lost a lot of respect today from a lot of fans and probably their fellow competitors in the sport. And there's really no need to to put yourself out there to lose even more respect. Because I've been following Twitter throughout this entire show, and I'm starting to see people who just got invested in Formula One saying like, I don't like this, and this might be it for me. So this whole situation is actually turning some fans off of Formula One. It's such a shame because Formula One's been exploding here in America, and all of this momentum, man. It would be a shame to see it plummet after what we've seen in Abu Dhabi. And if you like what you've seen today with our show, we want to remind you to like and subscribe to the Grid Network here on YouTube. On Wednesday night you can catch out on Grid Tonight. And if we have any more updates from Abu Dhabi, we'll be sure to share it then. Back to you, Joe.
A lot going on, and we're getting a lot of comments. Mercedes gets constructor championship. Red Bull. Oh, that one we already read earlier. One comment. I do worry about the precedent this sets going forward. If Messi can make decisions for the benefit of the show rather than the sport, it could bring into question F1 integrity. This is something where I feel, especially with some of the inconsistency with NASCAR, to have a good finish, because it does make it where, you know, fans are split on this, and we still haven't seen Mercedes or Lewis Hamilton really congratulate the champions. Either way, tainted championship regardless, shambles by the whole FIA and the sport in the mud after this facade. And of course, highly encourage everyone to follow Grid Tonight on the Grid Network, because the FIA, you're going to have a presidential election. John Todd will not be in charge starting in 2022. So a lot going on. Joshua plays Philip Horton. If one article can be overruled by another article while referring to another article, maybe they need a rewrite. And Amber, finally. So, Max Verstappen, the 2021 FIA World Champion, chances of appeal very slim. But of course, if that does happen, we will be following the news right here on the Grid Network. Encourage everyone to subscribe. And of course, for everyone just joining us still, Joe Samaniego, Kobe Lambis from the podium finish, Adam Lemeries, Ben Schneider, link to his channel below, and Joshua Birch. You've been calling the race, you've been following the news, and we definitely thank everyone for watching this program. Be sure to share your questions and comments, because we are starting to get to the point where we're going to wrap it up. But of course, if for some reason we get more news, we will continue to stay on the air. So, Kobe, take it away.
Yeah. Like Joe said, be sure to like and subscribe to the Grid Network here on YouTube, especially if you're new. You want to make sure you don't leave without hitting that subscribe button, because we want to keep growing here at Grid Network. You can also follow us all across social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you go to TikTok, you can see the cute little video of our grid office dog Kiska Pickett and Max Verstappen to win the championship and picking correctly. And we definitely encourage you, take 5 minutes after we wrap up our program, visit our Patreon page and consider investing in Grid Network. You can join McCollum, Mark, and Robin in supporting us, and really appreciate them. Appreciate all of you all for watching us today. You can check out Paw Bless. They have dog leashes, clothing, accessories for dogs of all sizes. 10% of your purchase goes towards helping homeless, sick, and rescue dogs. Public.com, also known as the stock market social media home. You can use the link and referral code below. Will give you $5 to invest right away. Public.com will allow you to connect with your friends. You have the opportunity to make new friends, and you can use tools to learn how to properly invest in the stock market. Do you want to buy me a coffee? We touched on it a little while ago. You can click the link in the video description below, and you can buy a drink for your favorite on-air talent here. You got 5 excellent choices right here. You can decide who you want to buy coffee.
We need drinks.
Please.
We'll see who's the first lucky person here. See who's gonna buy coffee for who, and any amount will definitely help us continue growing our motorsports media outlet. And with that said, it's the official ending of our 2021 season of racing coverage. And stay tuned for what's next on our agenda here at Grid Network. But you can catch Adam and I, as I mentioned, Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time for another episode of Grid Tonight. And if Mercedes somehow wants to drag this on any further, we'll report on it. And we hope you enjoyed the historic season-long championship battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. It'll be something we'll be talking about for years to come, and especially with everything that happened post-race, it'll be talked about for reasons we wish we didn't have to mention as well. And for Joe Samdiego, Joshua Birch, Ben Snyder, and Adam Lemeries, I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching our super long show today, longer than an IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship sprint race. And we hope you all have a wonderful week.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.